Today's feature presentation is rated G. G for Gator. With a huge cast of talented all-star performers, Gator is taking the nation by storm. Starring an explosive offense that's sure to keep you on the edge of your seat, Gator is the nation's #1 box office attraction. The critics rave. Gator is action-packed, a roller coaster ride of excitement. It's spine-chilling. And it's directed by renowned tactician Stephen Spurrier. This is one sequel that's as good as the original, an epic with several performers worthy of Oscar consideration. Gator, this season's must-see thriller, playing on a TV in front of you now. See Gator next, if you dare. The #1 Florida Gators, lying in wait with a 3-1. Razorbacks, and we welcome you to the swamp. For quarterback Doug Johnson, it has been thumbs up and 4 stars Buffo as he has managed to fit into the sizable shoes left behind by Heisman Trophy winner Danny Werfel. Through the first 4 games this season, Doug Johnson has thrown more passes, completed more passes, and thrown more touchdown passes than Werfel did through the first 4 games of last year. And Todd Christensen, he has a very impressive supporting cast around him.
He does indeed, and somebody who's been getting a lot of the attention, of course, is Jaquez Green, deservedly so, as well as an offensive line that has done an outstanding job of protecting him. But strangely enough, if you can say that a tailback is understated, Fred Taylor is one. Here's a young man who's been averaging nearly 117 yards per game, has had 4 straight 100-yard games, and if he has 2 more, that would make 6 straight, and he would tie a pretty decent back by the name of Emmitt Smith.
The Arkansas Razorbacks come into this game as overwhelming underdogs. If they're going to stay close, they're going to have to do it on the right arm of sophomore quarterback Clint Sterner.
And during the offseason, Arkansas hired Case Stevenson and Joe Ferguson to help Clint Sterner with the passing game that they wanted to integrate into the Arkansas offense. Sterner is somebody who has been able to do that fairly well in the first 4 games. They are 3-1, and he's been averaging over 200 yards per game. But he is going to have some miracle big plays if they can pull up an upset tonight in the swamp.
Watching the big plays from the floor of the swamp is Chris Marlowe. Chris?
Well, so far, the Florida offensive line has done a good job this season in protecting its quarterback. Take a look at the numbers. Through 4 games, only 7 sacks, less than 2 per game. And that's important because tonight we're going to be tracking pressure, sacks, hurries, and knockdowns. Can the Hog defensive line get the quarterback Doug Johnson? If they can, could be a ball game. If they can't, could be a long night. Charlie?
And here come the Gators. Are the Razorbacks merely Gator bait? We'll find out. Kickoff coming up next.
Hi, everybody. Bill Pito back in the studio getting set for Florida and Arkansas. Last time out, Tennessee killed by Florida. Today, Tennessee, Mississippi. Peyton Manning to Andy McCullough and a touchdown. On the board, 21-9. Tennessee leads it after 3. Ohio State and Iowa, the big game in the Big Ten. Stanley Jackson to David Boston, who's got a touchdown in Columbus. That made it 16-0 Ohio State. Both teams 4-0 coming in at 16-7 Buckeyes in the 4th quarter. Elsewhere, we have Texas A&M at Colorado. And Notre Dame against Stanford. We'll get you caught up on those at halftime. For now, we are set for our game. We have Florida going up against Arkansas. Charlie Steiner and Todd Christensen with the call.
All right, Bill, we welcome you back to the swamp. It may be fall up north, but down here in Florida, it is 84 degrees. Humidity is 57%. Feels very much like summertime indeed. We had a passing shower about an hour before the game, but right now, blue skies, sunshine. It is a beautiful night in northern Florida. The Gators have won the toss, and they have elected to receive. Steve Spurrier defers to no one. Elijah Williams and Bo Carroll are standing deep. We're underway, and Bo Carroll fields it at the 6. Right up the gut. Bo Carroll. He may go. He is gone. Bo Carroll, 94 yards, 6-0 Florida.
Great blocks by the front line of the Florida kickoff return team set this up.
This was not the start that Arkansas wanted to get under. I mean, after all, they came into this game 35-point underdog. And now, just 16 seconds into the game, it's 6-0, and Collins Cooper is on for the extra point try. And he is 22 out of 27 this year. Without a play from scrimmage, it's already 7-0 Florida on the 94-yard kickoff return by Bo Carroll.
Take a look at the blocks from the front line right here. Watch the white shirts go down. You can see the wedges forming right here for a right return. But watch the blocks right here. There's a block, and there's a block. Now watch the opening. Everybody anticipates that they're going to go right. Now he finds the opening and all the grass up here. And at this point now, look at the block right there by number 52. Wiping out the kicker is Dwayne Thomas. Now it's a foot race, and none of the Razorbacks are going to catch Bo Carroll, averaging 12 yards a carry from the line of scrimmage. Watch where the wedge is now. Everybody anticipates that it's going to be coming in this direction. Now watch what he does here. He just sees the opening, and he is absolutely gone. What great foot speed and great anticipation on the part of Carroll to not necessarily follow where his blockers are, but to find where the gap is on the grass and turn on the afterburners.
They certainly weren't going to catch Bo Carroll, a 1997 All-American in the 100 meters. He runs a 10.5800. And he was gone at the 50-yard line. Already 7-0 Florida. And the Razorbacks, who came into this game 35-point underdogs, already find themselves in a deep hole. Mark Henderson and Ontario Moss are standing deep for Danny Ford.
Interesting, Charlie, I was about to say that we've been talking a lot about the offense and defense for Florida, but up to this point we haven't spent much time about special teams.
Fumbled in the end zone, and Mark Henderson gets it out across the 10 and smeared at about the 13-yard line. Now the Arkansas offense, it's all going to be up to Clint Sterner, who has thrown for 200 yards or more in each of his last 3 games. And primarily he throws to Anthony Eubanks, who is on the verge of setting all sorts of Razorback records at wideout. Brandon Burlsworth is the blue chip offensive lineman, 289-pound junior. And here comes Arkansas. First play from scrimmage out of the eye. Branch, number 7, gets a couple of yards to the 15. Now defensively for Florida, Derek Chambers is starting today in place of Ed Chester. Johnny Rutledge is the leading tackler at the outside linebacker spot, and a terrific secondary anchored by Fred Weary, who is just 1 pick away from the all-time pick record. 2nd down and 9. Trips to the left. Branch is a single setback, and that is Eric Branch, who gets about 3 more yards. Dwayne Thomas meets him at about the 17.
Clint Sterner had the 4 wide receivers, and he audibled it to the run in hopes that he could get Florida a little bit off balance, but the blocking wasn't quite there, and now they're going to come up 3rd and long.
3rd down and about 7 yards to go. Sterner is a sophomore, and he has already been sacked 13 times this season. Last year, Arkansas quarterbacks were sacked only 16 times all year. Sterner, little quick out is complete to Emmanuel Smith, but he lost about 5 yards on the play.
And that's a great play by Elijah Williams. I mean, last week when Florida was playing Kentucky, that was their standard play. With their 4 wide receivers setting out of the shotgun, they go an awful lot to that particular play, which is the quick flanker screen. But Elijah Williams was in press coverage, and as a result, he's right on top of the receiver, and there's no place to go.
And so on 4th down, Jamie Richardson stands deep back at his own 43-yard line. Matt Waite and his 38-yard punting average at the goal line. Well, that's nearly blocked. High beauty, fair catch, called by Richardson at the 43-yard line. A quick 7-0 lead for Florida. ESPN's presentation of college football is brought to you by the Newspaper Association of America. It all starts with newspapers. And by Keystone Light, America's never bitter beer. Gators are already up 7-0, and now we get to introduce the starting lineups for you. Offensively, Doug Johnson has had a terrific season, and Jaquez Green has been his favorite wide receiver. 28 catches, averaging 17 yards every time he touches the ball, and the two big offensive tackles, each at 320 pounds, Pillar and Collins, providing the protection. Fred Taylor and Rod Frazier line up behind Doug Johnson, who turns 20 years old in about 3 weeks. And already the still teenager calling an automatic. Has a lot of time. And oh, it's drilled, and the ball is loose. Who's got it? Florida hangs on to the football.
Doug Johnson decides to go with an audible because he thought he had Jaquez Green in single coverage, but the free safety baited him. As soon as he ended up going the other direction, the free safety then moves over. And so Johnson is able to come back, and Melvin Bradley, the outstanding nose tackle for Arkansas right there, just gets the tip of the ball. Johnson heads up to make the recovery, but a good start for the Razorback defense.
A loss of 5, 2nd and 15 at the 38-yard line. And now Doug Johnson doesn't like the defensive alignment of the Razorbacks, and so he's going to call himself a timeout. And we're going to take a timeout as well. 7-0 Florida. Steve Spurrier doesn't look pleased despite the 7-0 lead. Welcome back to the Swamp. Now let's meet the Arkansas Razorback defense. You saw Melvin Bradley and how cat quick he is at the nose guard spot. Starting at the linebacker position tonight, Harry Wilson in place of the injured J.J. Jones, out with a knee injury. The secondary is suspect, but the senior, Marcus Campbell, is indeed very solid. On 2nd and 15 for the Gators at their own 38-yard line. Fred Taylor is in the backfield along with Doug Johnson, and Johnson's in trouble. Now he's got some time. Now he's got a lot of time. Firing sideline, incomplete. Intended for Nafis Kareem, and now let's go back to the studio.
It's going to be roughing the passer. We're going to have a roughing the passer, Charlie.
It appears to be roughing the passer. Bill Goss heads up the SEC officiating crew tonight.
Personal foul, roughing the passer, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
And the reason here is because you saw the reaction of the coach. He's not very happy with the fact that Kenny Anderson, right there at the end of the play, hits him right in the middle of the back when it was clear that he'd already thrown the ball out of bounds. Obviously, Arkansas had some momentum going there with the pass rush, but boy, that's got to be frustrating. Danny Ford, you can see, not a happy camper.
Arkansas coming in, the overwhelming underdog, can ill afford to make any kind of errors on special teams or late hits, and they've made a couple already. Flag on the play again is Fred Taylor across the 45 to about the 43. Kenoy Kennedy came up to make the tackle. The flag is back at the 46.
Holding, offense, penalties 10 yards from the spot of the foul. Repeat first down.
That's not a fair, if you're Arkansas, that's not a fair trade-off. You want that roughing the passer penalty back.
49-year-old Danny Ford. Now in his 5th year at Arkansas. He's 25, 24, and 1. And his team is off to a 3-1 start.
but they are statistically counted. And once again, Johnson's in trouble, spins out of trouble. What a fine job of running by Doug Johnson. And Johnson across the 45 to the 48-yard line.
Doug Johnson is not known for his escapability, which is the phrase used by coaches. You see they're going to come with 5. He avoids 1, man avoids 2, spins out, and is able to come upfield and make a gain, about a 5-yard gain out of that. As I had mentioned, at 6'2", 212 pounds, Steve Spurrier has never talked about his likeness or never used Steve Young or Randall Cunningham in the same sense as Doug Johnson, but that was a nifty run there.
Here's Johnson now, and he's going to call himself a second timeout. Well, with 10 minutes, 18 seconds to go in the first quarter.
Obviously, the 5-yard run winded him.
7-0 Gators. As it turned out, it was a penalty, too much time in the huddle just before the timeout was called, and a pickup of 17 yards for the Gators as McCaslin is the up back, and there is Fred Taylor, and he picks up a couple of yards on the play, but he appears to be just shy of the first down, maybe 1 short.
Well, 37-yard line, I would guess that Florida is going to go for it, even if it is a little bit short. Eugene McCaslin, the man that you just mentioned, of course, is replacing Terry Jackson, the former starting fullback who was out for the season with a knee injury that he sustained against Kentucky last week. A major loss, because Jackson is somebody who is a great receiver out of the backfield, terrific runner and blocker, and as they say in baseball, the phrase they use, terrific in the clubhouse, great leadership. And so McCaslin and Rod Frazier have some pretty big shoes to fill.
The measurement, well, they got the first down after all. Florida is about as good as you get offensively, averaging nearly 48 yards or 48 points per game and almost 500 yards of offense per game.
Surprising regarding that offense how truly balanced it is, something we'll get into a little bit later on.
Fred Taylor in motion down to the bottom of your screen. Doug Johnson throwing. There should be a flag on the play, and apparently not.
Wow.
It looked like Jamie Richardson was interfered with way down at the 15-yard line by Marcus Campbell. No penalty.
Hey, you talked about it at the top. You said he's a senior, man. He's smart. Bam, I'm getting away with that. No harm, no foul. Marcus Campbell with an interesting streak. 6 straight games with either a blocked kick or an interception.
Or getting away with a fragrant penalty.
That's all right. Raymond Chester, a long time ago, told me that. Ain't a foul if you get away with it.
Jacquez Green is flanked way out to the top of the screen. On 2nd and 10. And that is Green. And Green to the 20-yard line. And a first down. Zach Painter made the tackle. Pickup of 17. Now, Bill Pito back at the studio. Bill?
All right, Charlie, LSU, Vandy, Damon Allen to Tavares Hogan's 12 seconds to go. Vandy cuts it to 1. 2 delay of games, nullify a try for 2. They go for the point after and the tie. Markham is blocked. That's with 12 seconds to go. LSU hangs on by 1.
Wow.
2 delay of games. Wow. Couldn't decide what they wanted to do, obviously, with the 2-point conversion. That's too bad.
We would have thought the Tigers would have an easier time with Vanderbilt than they did. And here's Fred Taylor on the delay. Taylor down to about the 10-yard line, very close to a first down.
And this falls under the heading of did an awful lot of it on his own. There seems to be a mix-up in the backfield. You can see that Johnson was a little bit hesitant, finally gets Taylor the ball. He runs into the back of one of his own people, does it again. The pursuit comes from behind him, but he's able to keep the leg strength going and get down to the 12-yard line.
Fred Taylor has averaged this year almost 8 yards per carry. In his career, 6 yards per carry. It's 2nd down and 1. And from the shotgun, Johnson has a lot of time firing, and it's complete. Inside the 5-yard line. Jamie Richardson.
2nd and 1 inside the 20. What do you think you do? Well, most of the offenses in the United States would probably go off tackle, maybe go with a sweep. Not Florida. They go with the deep hook pattern to Richardson, who settles down just inside the 5-yard line. They have to be so conscious of Green, but look at that. They even had 2 white shirts there, but it wasn't enough. Richardson sits down in the dead spot and able to come up the first down.
Zach Taylor gave him plenty of room. Here's Fred Taylor, and he's got some room and a touchdown. For Fred Taylor, his 3rd touchdown of the season.
Well, Zach Taylor and Ryan Kalish, along with Wiley Rich, just opened up a cavern for him. When you go in standing up from 3 yards out, that says something about your offensive line.
Well, Steve Spurrier's team is 53-0 against unranked teams. Arkansas is not ranked. Collins Cooper will be on for the extra point. He is now 23 for his last 27 and 24 of his last 28. Fred Taylor and the Gators up 14, and it's early. If this isn't bad enough news for Razorback fans, this is really bad news. Florida has scored more points in the first quarter this year, in the first quarter, than Arkansas has scored all season long. So Danny Ford's team has a mighty tall mountain to climb.
Charlie, you made an interesting point at the coin toss, which was Spurrier defers to nobody. He wants to put his offense on the field. Well, it's certainly been intimidating up to this point.
Mark Henderson, with the help of Ontario Moss, opts to take the touchback. ESPN2 continues its college football coverage tonight as soon as we are done, when the SMU Mustangs stampede into New Mexico to take on the undefeated Lobos in a whack shootout. All the action on ESPN2, your home of college football.
Ponies and Lobos. All right.
That's coming up in about 2.5 hours.
SMU's got a pretty good club. Gave BYU all it could handle last week.
The Mustangs have come back from the dead. And now let's see what Arkansas can do. Eric Branch, the single setback. He falls. The ball is tipped and nearly intercepted by Tony George. Tony George, the second cousin of Eddie George. Tony George is really Houston George Jr. His dad is Houston, and his mom is Arizona.
Well, pressure from Willie Rogers, who comes right in. He gets knifed. You can see he gets cut at the last minute, but Sterner just had no place to go. He got rid of it. Very fortunate he got that one back. Tony George is making some big plays over the last couple of weeks from his safety position for the Gators.
He was the SEC Defensive Player of the Week following the Tennessee game. And here is Eric Branch, and he gets nothing. The offense, especially the running game, continues to struggle for the Razorbacks.
Well, this is part of the evolution. When you try to go to a passing attack, you can see it's almost halved from 96 to 97. And, of course, a big reason for that, too, Charlie, is the starter Chris Chikuma, who is not here this evening. That certainly is a contributing factor as to why Arkansas is not running the ball as effectively.
On 3rd and 10, Chikuma is out for the season with a couple of herniated discs. And now the handoff to Eric Branch, and Branch is able to struggle across the 20 to about the 23-yard line. Dwayne Thomas made the tackle.
The idea was right. Branch is going to go in what appears to be a normal sweep, and instead he wants to reverse field, take advantage of the speed of Florida over pursuing. But in this case, Florida is so fast that they're able to come back and make the tackle with a minimal gain. That man right there, Bob Stoops, in the last 2 years since being the Florida defensive coordinator, his IQ clearly has jumped, what, 20, 30 points?
And so has his bank book. He had a good week this week.
He
got a
did
$25,000 raise. On 4th down, Wait to punt it away, and Jaquez Green standing at his own 30-yard line. And down at the 34. Now let's go downstairs to Chris Marlowe. Chris?
How loud is it on the floor of Florida Field? Well, according to the Sporting News, it's the loudest stadium in America. Right here, Auburn second, Ohio State, Syracuse, Texas A&M. You have to keep your headphones on. This is the first time for Arkansas, and their ears are ringing at the moment. Charlie?
And their eyes are stinging as they look at the scoreboard. 14-0 Gators with 5 minutes and 25 seconds to go in the first quarter. And here is Florida's second series. Johnson has some time. Firing long for Jaquez Green. Ball tipped away by Marcus Campbell at the 30-yard line.
And Marcus Campbell was in such good coverage, but he has such respect for the throwing ability of Johnson and the speed of Green. This is a ball that he could have picked off. Take a look. He's running stride for stride. Now watch. He goes up there, and he almost bats it down with his wrist. Watch if he goes up with 2 hands. That's a catchable ball. I think Marcus Campbell wishes he could do that again and not just bat the ball down, because that could have been a pick.
As you mentioned, Campbell has the interesting stat of having an interception or blocked kick in 6 consecutive games. On 2nd and 10 from the shotgun. Johnson fires a pass behind Nafis Kareem. Incomplete. Bill Pito.
All right, Charlie, Stanford and Notre Dame. Ron Paulus will find Bobby Brown. Notre Dame trying to avoid its first 4-game losing streak since 1963. They would go for 2 after this and fail, so they're trailing 24-15 in the 4th.
Man.
Hey, you know what? It just goes to show that you can't pay attention to all the hype. I mean, Ron Paulus, I remember his sophomore year. Remember that first game of the year against Northwestern? All of a sudden, he's going to win 2 Heismans and 3 national championships. Hey, let it play out.
Bob Davie didn't have it figured this way, did he? This is Travis McGriff, and McGriff is out of bounds at the 46-yard line. Knocked out of bounds by Campbell. A pickup of 12. First down and 10.
McGriff is 5'8", 181 pounds, but he does exactly what you're supposed to do. Now watch, you can see the 3 receivers. This is what you'd call, well, I don't want to say a pick. Let's just say that they're trying to clear some people out from McGriff. Now as McGriff heads upfield, instead of making the move, he says, you know what, we need the first down. I'm going to lower my shoulder, and even though nobody's going to mistake me for Cookie Gilchrist, I'm still going to get the first down.
How many people remember Cookie Gilchrist?
That was a pretty older group.
Uh-oh, bad snap. And Doug Johnson wisely falls on it at the 31-yard line. A huge loss.
Brian Smith, the man on top of him, a terrific athlete. Take a look at the snap and see where the ball is. I think that was catchable. That's the reason why more and more you see quarterbacks in the gun have their hands out and ready. Johnson's were, but they just went through the 2 of them. Brian Smith, a 47-second quarter miler when he was in high school.
A loss of 14 on the play. 2nd down and 24. And again from the shotgun. Doug Johnson out of the backfield. It is complete to Rod Frazier, and he gets back to the line of scrimmage. Maybe lost a yard or 2. Harry Wilson, the linebacker, came up to make the tackle.
Okay, I'm only going to say it once. Down goes Frazier. Wilson was right with him, man for man, out in the flat. Great open field tackle.
That is Tommy's younger brother. Arkansas, the pass defense has been fairly well stagnant, and if anything, maybe down a little bit. They had 11 picks last year, only 4 so far this year. On 3rd and 24. Here's Johnson airing it out down the sideline over the head of Jaquez Green, man for man with Marcus Campbell.
Once again, Campbell with him stride for stride. They might have to pick on somebody else, because Campbell certainly has been up to the task this far where Jaquez Green is concerned. 3rd and 24, you would think they would go with something intermediate, but instead they go up, try and go for the downs, but Campbell right there.
And so on 4th down, the Arkansas defense holds. Jeremy Flowers is standing back at his 30-yard line as Robbie Stevenson will punt it away. Robert Louis Stevenson. Whoa. And that is quite a little punt for himself. All the way back to the 19-yard line. Flowers is down at the 21. ESPN college football coming up at 7 o'clock Eastern time. A Big Ten showdown. The Great Dane comes to Chicago, calling on the Northwestern Wildcats at 7 Eastern on ESPN. Your home for college football.
You and I were talking about this last night with regards to comparing Fuamatu Ma'afala, and I won't make you repeat that pronunciation, and Ron Dane. And Ron Dane. The idea that Chris seems to be, he for some reason can't seem to carry the weight. He keeps having leg injuries, whereas you're telling me that Dane at 5'10", 260 is absolutely dense. It's amazing.
I got a chance to cover both of them last year. Fuamatu Ma'afala has the biggest set of calves I have ever seen on a human being. I will continue the thought in a moment. 1st and 10 out of the I formation. Norman is the up back branch, the setback, and Sterner is in trouble. Sterner is still in trouble. Sterner gets out of trouble and down at the 23-yard line, and when all was said and done, he still lost 5 yards on the play.
Yeah, but that was absolutely Houdini. It was amazing that he didn't go down earlier. Sterner, a pretty sturdy quarterback at 6'2" and about 205, 210. First able to avoid the sack there, almost goes down, avoids the sack, and now he spins out, goes to the left side. In both cases, the tackle was not made, but scrambling back to be a part of it was Darrell Owens, the linebacker who missed him the first time, decides, well, perseverance will pay off. I'm going to be a part of the sack.
A loss of 4 on the play, 2nd and 14. Firing over the middle, and it is incomplete, intended for Shannon Sidney at the 34-yard line. He was smeared.
The one thing that it's clear Florida's defense is doing is they are not respecting the speed of the wide receivers of Arkansas. They're in press position right up close to the line of scrimmage, and you can see Tico Brown comes up with a big hit. Brown is the one who over the last couple of weeks has not been getting much in the way of big plays, and many people feel like he hasn't been playing well, but the defensive coordinator Bob Stoops pointed out to us that they just haven't been in his direction. He's still playing well, as witnessed by that look.
On 3rd and 14 from the shotgun. Sterner with a lot of time. Not anymore. Brought down by Javon Curse, number 42. His first sack of the season. And now, for Florida, their 16th, make it 17 on the season with that one.
Well, that certainly falls under the heading of a coverage sack. As you pointed out, Sterner had plenty of time. He had at least 5 seconds to get the ball downfield, but give the Florida secondary credit. Outstanding job, man for man.
Meanwhile, the Arkansas offense still can't get on track. And Matt Waite and his 38-yard punting average is on the field again. High and short. Bouncing at the 45-yard line and stopping dead at the 45-yard line, where Florida will take over following the 29-yard punt and no return. Danny Ford having his share of problems, and Steve Spurrier came in knowing that his club was heavily favored, but he was not going to let up off the gas pedal at all.
Yeah, one of the questions that I asked him along with Bob Stoops was to say, well, now, you know, next week you've got Auburn at Auburn. You know, there's going to be a tendency to want to look past this game, and both gentlemen said absolutely not.
On 1st and 10, Florida at the Arkansas 45. Fred Taylor has some room. He fumbled it. It's loose, still loose, still loose. And I think finally Arkansas has got it at the 20-yard line.
It's son of a gun if it isn't Melvin Bradley, the nose tackle, trailing the play. How often do you see a nose tackle who has the kind of speed to come all the way downfield? Here he is right here. Take a look. There he is, double team. Now watch. He's going to run up the field, and he's going to trail this play. There the ball comes loose, goes through a number of hands. Now watch at the end, number 41 dive for this ball, come up with it with... Take a look at that right there. Boy, that's great hustle. That's great hustle. If you're a defensive coordinator or a defensive line coach, this is the sort of thing that you love to see. You love to see people pursue and go after it, and that's exactly what Bradley did.
1st and 10 Arkansas at their own 21. The handoff is to the up back, Nathan Norman. And he gets back to the line of scrimmage, and that's really about all. Now, Bill Pito.
All right, Charlie, Tennessee, Mississippi. Tennessee up by 7, about 2.5 to go. And this should do it. It's Jamal Lewis Scampers his way from 42 yards out. Touchdown, Tennessee now up by 14 late.
Okay, Charlie Steiner, who's going to win the Heisman?
It's wide open now.
Boy, it is, isn't it?
It's going to be fun down the stretch.
I agree.
And we may be seeing two potential Heisman Trophy candidates on this Florida team tonight. And here's Sterner's pass incomplete. Talking about Doug Johnson, which was an unthinkable thought just a month ago. And Fred Taylor, who was the guy that Spurrier was selling early in the season. He's not getting the big stats, but he is so important to this team.
Well, Johnson is somebody who, if he continues to get the numbers that he had, you pointed out, better than Werfel at this point, you would certainly have to consider him, particularly if Florida ends the season undefeated. But right now, gee, it's, you know, I mean, at the beginning of the season, it seemed like Manning was a lock, but this team, since they knocked him off, certainly it is a wide open race.
Fred Taylor averaging nearly 8 yards per carry so far this season. Here's Sterner throwing and completing over the middle to Emmanuel Smith, and he has got a lot of real estate. Smith to the 30, to the 20, and out of bounds at the, let's see, they're going to mark it at the 13-yard line. A pickup of 66 yards on the play for Emmanuel Smith.
One of the things that happens here, Elijah Williams makes a great play to save a touchdown. What happened is that he goes against the grain. All of the receivers, watch what's going to happen. Everybody is going to end up over here. Smith is going to make the catch, come back against the grain. There are going to be no Florida people on that side of the field. Sterner able to buy some time, avoid it. Now watch what happens. See, here he comes in this direction, and there's nobody left. Give Williams credit. He was able to run him down from behind, because if he doesn't, then he goes one-on-one with Tico Brown, and maybe he gets in the end zone. Sterner, as I mentioned, comes to the right. Big, strong, able to go through the arm tackle, and here comes Smith. Weary not able to make the tackle, and he cuts up field. Well, there's the problem right there. He's got two different colored shoes. See, if he had both the same colored shoes, he'd have gone the distance.
Got to be the shoes. Emmanuel Smith had a career best 5 receptions for 86 yards last week. 66 on 1 this week. Right up the gut, Mark Henderson, a true freshman, gains about 3 on the play. Mike Harris made the tackle.
Charlie, something that stands out here with regards to Arkansas is in their wide receiving core. They've got some big bodies. They have the Michael Irvin, Jerry Rice kind of bodies. Smith, you mentioned 6'1", 217, and of course Eubanks, their big star, is about 6'2", 205. So when they get into a jump ball kind of situation, you know, on fades, Arkansas's got a pretty good shot.
And so we have come to the end of the first quarter. It started off in a hurry for the Florida Gators. A 94-yard kickoff return by Bo Carroll and his 10.58 100-yard meter speed. And then Fred Taylor made it 14-0 at the end of 1. Well, after that 66-yard pass reception to Emmanuel Smith, Arkansas is now just 11 yards away from Pager. 2nd down and 7. Norman and Branch are split in the backfield. And Sterner's going to throw toward the end zone. Incomplete, intended for Anthony Eubanks.
Do it again. Do it again. Here's why. Fred Weary is an outstanding quarterback, but look at how close Eubanks came to coming up with that ball. It's the fade route. If he throws it behind right here, it's a touchdown. They battle and battle. Give Weary credit for coming up with the left hand, but I'm serious, Charlie. I'd do it again.
Let's see. Fred Weary, the defensive captain. He is a senior from Jacksonville.
Having a great year.
Yes, he is. Has 13 career interceptions, 1 more, and he will tie the all-time Florida record. Eubanks and Smith are flanked down to the bottom of the screen. Sterner is in trouble, and Sterner is fumbled. The ball is loose, and Florida's got it.
Darrell Owens with the recovery. He's the one that made the great pursuit after, Willie Cohen's is the one who comes up with it. He was a part of that sack earlier. Sterner, here's a situation. You want to do what you can, but there he gets stripped. Cohen comes up with the ball. That's big, because Arkansas needed to come out with at least 3 in that situation.
So it was Cohens who picked up the fumble created by Willie Rogers on the hit of Sterner. And so now here's Florida, 1st and 10 at their own 20. And that is Fred Taylor flanked way up to the top of your screen now. Rod Frazier, the single setback. Johnson pump fake, throwing long, and overthrowing a wide-open Jamie Richardson at the 45-yard line.
Doug Johnson does a great job of looking off the free safety and coming back to Richardson, but he just had a little bit too much on the ball. Had to alter their coverage when Fred Taylor went out as a wide receiver, and that was able to split the opening down the middle, but he just couldn't quite get the ball there.
Arkansas has been given more than they've been taken. And now here's the pass to Fred Taylor, and Taylor is across the 30 to the 31-yard line. Now Bill Pito. Bill?
All right, Charlie, Ohio State and Iowa, the big game of the Big Ten. Ohio State looking pretty good. Michael Wiley rumbling in there. Somehow stayed up and got into the end zone. 23-7 Buckeyes, just over a minute to go.
Be it ever so humble, there's no place like home for the Buckeyes.
So does that mean Katz and Moyer got the best of the battle with Pavian Banks?
To be determined. We'll read about it in the paper tomorrow. Here's Doug Johnson throwing a bomb over the middle, and it's incomplete, intended for Jacquez Green at the 30.
Well, we've been giving all this credit to Campbell, but that time Green had him by 2 steps. Johnson back-to-back long throws, and he can't quite deliver it.
Geno Bell came in with the big hit, number 91.
And then he gets hit in the upper body by his own man. Last week, you and I had an opportunity to take a look at some of the film at Kentucky. Johnson was only knocked down maybe 2 or 3 times the entire game. Arkansas putting on a little more pressure here.
Here's Johnson firing and completing to Travis McGriff across the 40 to the 42-yard line. Looks like he's got the first down by about a yard, a pickup of 11 on the play.
Strange situation, too. Aaron Kinney, the tight end, was in the same zone, and I'm not sure he was supposed to be there. You take a look. Johnson throws the ball out there. Kinney ends up stopping. Well, that's a good catch there because he can't support that with his body. He's able to get both hands underneath the ball. That's one that oft times can be dropped.
Tight end Eric Kinney. And on the draw, Fred Taylor has nowhere to go and loses about 3 on a play. Now let's go downstairs to Chris Marlowe.
Todd Christensen was talking about pressure. Arkansas has been doing a pretty good job. 3 hurries, 3 knockdowns so far, and a caused fumble. No sacks yet, but that could be coming. Back to you guys.
2nd down and 13 yards to go, and the line of scrimmage is a 39-yard line for the Florida Gators, and they've got a 14-0 lead. Fred Taylor is flanked out to the top along with Nafis Kareem. And here is Fred Taylor. And Taylor inside the 30 at the 29-yard line. A pickup of 32 on the play.
What ends up happening here is that look at the people. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 right here in the box. You're supposed to say, no, we can't run against that. But they opt to do that, and look at all the white shirts that go down. Able to break a tackle at the line of scrimmage and cut up the field. He can't quite go the distance, but that's a great effort by the offensive line of Florida, creating a chasm for Taylor to run through.
7 carries, 68 yards for Fred Taylor. Averaging nearly 10 yards per run tonight. And here's Doug Johnson throwing long into the end zone. Touchdown, Florida! Jacquez Green, 29 yards, his 7th touchdown of the season, 20-0 Gators.
And Campbell matching up with him just did not turn around quick enough. That's always the debate with the cornerback when you're running with the man stride for stride. You're supposed to be able to see his eyes and look back, but he does not look back quick enough and give Johnson credit. He delivered a nice throw.
And here is Collins Cooper for the extra point try. Let's take a look at Doug Johnson. And for Johnson, his 18th touchdown pass of the year. Cooper's extra point is good. It is 21-0 Gators.
One of the things that Steve Spurrier had been talking about is that Doug Johnson is going to go to Jaquez Green if they're going to give him single coverage. Well, that's exactly what they got, single coverage, and the Razorbacks pay the price.
ESPN's presentation of college football is brought to you by Gateway 2000 Direct Personal Computers and by Honda, vehicles designed to help simplify your life. Well, happy days are here again at the Swamp. The Gators are now marching to their own beat, 21-0, following a 7-play, 81-yard drive and the 29-yard touchdown pass to Jaquez Green for him. His 7th touchdown reception of the year for Doug Johnson. His 18th touchdown pass of the year. Mark Henderson and Ontario Moss are standing deep. And this would be Moss. There is no Moss on his feet, just a lot of grass on his backside.
Chris Marlowe was talking about the protection that up to this point had been a bit of a problem for Doug Johnson, but on this particular play they come with 6, and look at the time that Johnson has to throw the up. Great protection on the part of Florida, and right there Campbell doesn't look quick enough. Jaquez Green, very smart, gets over the top, makes the body catch. Touchdown, Florida.
It never looked like Campbell. Never looked like Campbell turned around to see it. Arkansas can ill afford to make any mistakes against the #1 team in the country. And this is Eric Branch, and Branch gets to the line of scrimmage, maybe a yard or two beyond that. And number 29, Mike Peterson, is there to make the tackle.
Mike Peterson, a very undersized linebacker at 6'1", 210 pounds. It really appeared as if they had a pretty good play going. But instead, Branch stumbles a little bit, and Peterson, who has excellent speed, as I mentioned, only 210 pounds, gets to the outside and holds Branch up until the rest of his buddies can come and put him down.
Peterson hurt his ankle in the Southern Mississippi game, the opener of the season that we did. And he really hasn't been 100% healthy until this week. And here's Sterner running and rolling and throwing incomplete, intended for I'm not entirely sure who. Now here's Bill Pito.
All right, Charlie, Stanford, Notre Dame, Anthony Bookman and Mike Mitchell each go over the 100-yard mark for the 3rd straight game. That's never been done before in Stanford history. This is Bookman, one of his 2 touchdowns. Stanford beats Notre Dame 33-15.
You know, I was going to say, Charlie, that doesn't even sound necessarily like Stanford football when you think of airing it out. They had 2 guys go over 100 yards rushing. That's impressive.
What a job Tyrone Willingham has done out there.
I agree.
3rd down and 9. Arkansas 1 of 5 and 3rd down opportunities. Make it 1 of 6. And a flag on the play.
Saw Elijah Williams tap the head of Clint Sterner saying there will be better days. It's just not going to be your day today.
There will be better days. Today ain't going to be the one.
Yeah.
Bill Goss,
Illegal
the
motion,
referee.
offense, penalties decline. 4th down.
The gentleman that I mentioned, Elijah Williams, is somebody who for the last 2 years had been the leading rusher for the Florida Gators. But to make the team better, Steve Spurrier pulled him aside in the offseason and said, look, we want to put you on defense because we think Fred Taylor is the man. Williams did exactly what he was told, and now he's the starting corner. And Charlie, for me, that's one of the most demanding positions in football is cornerback, and it's amazing that he has the athleticism to go from offense right to starting corner.
Not only was he one of the better rushers the past 2 years, he is the 7th leading rusher in the history of Florida football. And now he's a quarterback. And here's a nice punt by Matt Waite. Fair catch at the 40-yard line by Jaquez Green. There is a flag on the play, however, at the 45 of Arkansas.
You just saw Jaquez Green pat his chest and say, my bad. He had a good 8 yards of gap. His decision to make the fair catch was a little bit premature.
Well, let's see what that flag is all about. The side judge, Bob Lee, talking to his boss, Bill Goss. Goss, the boss.
Illegal block on the receiving team. Penalties 10 yards from the end of the kick. 1st down.
Well, Florida with a 21-0 lead, and Danny Ford is not enjoying himself tonight, although Spurrier is. The last time Florida had the ball, Fred Taylor ran it 32 yards. And then Doug Johnson passed it 29 yards to Jaquez Green. And that made it 21-0. Taylor tonight, 6 carries, 67 yards, averaging 11.2 per carry. He came into the game with a meager 7.9 yards per carry.
How wimpy.
First and 10 at the 30, and from the shotgun, there's going to be an offside. And yet Doug Johnson is able to get out of harm's way, and he better get out of the way. He runs out of bounds at the 35 and picks up 5 on the play.
Now, if Doug Johnson gets to call this, I don't know. I don't think he's the offensive captain. But see, this was the argument I always had with, you know, our offensive captain. As I'd say, okay, you know what? I just ran for 4 yards, and I just got some stats. See, I need some stats. Do I want to take the play? Which he will. I mean, it'll be 1st and 5.
It's 5 yards, first down.
But like, say, for instance, when I had like an 8-yard catch, I'd say, no, wait a minute. Let me keep that. It's okay. 2nd and 2. We'll get the first down. So I was thinking that right there, you know, because his rushing average probably isn't that high because of all the sacks, maybe he wanted that extra 4 yards.
There is no I in team. There is M-E.
Boy, you are some intellectual.
First and
It's a cliche fest.
1st and 5. And on the delay, Fred Taylor scampers and boy, to the 42-yard line, and he picks up a first down. Man.
This is the domination of the offensive line for Florida. Take a look here at Gino Bell. He is a pretty good-looking defensive tackle, but watch what happens. He gets pushed out of the way, and continually pushed out of the way. And Taylor has the great knack for being able to make moves in the hole, and he has quick enough feet to do it. One of the things that happens, Charlie, is that running backs are told, no, you got to go north and south. You don't have time to make moves in the hole. Well, Taylor's one of those rare backs that does.
Who's 6'1" and 226. Wow. And he got a great block from number 79, Mo Collins, a 320-pound right tackle. And here's Taylor up the gut this time. And maybe about 3 yards on the play. Harry Wilson, the linebacker, makes the tackle.
This is an impressive statistic right here, Charlie, something that we alluded to earlier. The fact that the balance is outstanding here, the only team in the nation to do that. You had an interesting statistic with regards to the fact they have 270-odd plays and the difference.
They came into the game with 277 plays, 137 on the ground, 140 passing. And tonight, 56 on the ground, another 106 in the air, and it's roughly 50-50 in the pass and running category.
But the surprising factor here is that I think most of the nation, Charlie, thinks of them as the fun and gun and Steve Spurrier, and they fill the air with footballs. Well, yes, they do pass effectively, but they do the other thing pretty well, too.
First down and 16 yards to go. Fred Taylor is right behind Johnson, and that is Fred Taylor. Cutting across at the 40 and down at about the 44-yard line. A pickup of nearly 10 on the play.
And I think that could go as running yards, Charlie, simply because of the fact that it appeared that he threw the ball backwards. Take a look at where Johnson's feet end up. Watch right here at the bottom. See where his feet end up and where he throws the ball to Taylor. Yeah, that's backwards.
Yeah.
So that's going to be rushing yardage for Taylor, or it should be anyway.
Stats. Here's Fred Taylor again, and this time he gets maybe a yard or two. David Sanders, defensive right end, number 95 from Jackson, Mississippi, makes the tackle.
When the going gets to, oh no, I'm sorry, that's your role. I'm not gonna mess with that. But you know what, Charlie? All seriousness aside, as Milton Berle would say, don't tell me that the players don't keep track of such things. You know that they do, and I understand the fact that Florida is very cognizant of being team-oriented. But boy, when you get your opportunity, you want to make the most of it, and you know you're reading the paper just like everybody else.
3rd and 3. They're leading by 21, and they've got 4 wideouts spread across the field. Johnson's in trouble, and I think it may be a fumble. And it is, and Arkansas's got it.
Well, Ken Anderson is going to get the sack, but the strange part of this at the end of the play as to whether or not was it thrown forward. Take a look. Here comes Anderson. Look at that. It just slipped out of his hands. That's a great job by the official, because there's a situation where many times you say, no, the arm went forward. It's okay. But the ball just goes behind. Johnson right there, it just slipped out of his hands. It reminded me a little bit of, remember Dave Craig used to have some of those problems because he had the small hands.
And now the handoff to Eric Branch, and he gets back to the line of scrimmage. About this Ken Anderson, who caused the fumble. Interesting story. His brother is a military escort for the president. And my suspicion is that the president may be watching us tonight. I have a suspicion that the White House gets the deuce, and Arkansas is his team.
Well, Ken Anderson at 6'4", 290 pounds could certainly protect a lot of people, important or otherwise.
Man, he's a tank, isn't he? On 2nd and 9, Sterner throwing incomplete. Way down at the 10-yard line, intended for Anthony Eubanks.
Anthony Eubanks is their man. He is their star player coming into this game with 20 catches, but give Florida credit, particularly Fred Weary, who has had it man for man most of the time. Take a look at the coverage here by Weary, right with him. No place to put the ball.
Fred Weary may have gotten away with one. So it is 3rd down and 9. 8.5 minutes to go in the first half.
Let me tell you, you have to have larceny in your heart if you're going to be a cornerback. You've got to be thinking that, because so many times ticky-tack calls don't go your way. So
4 wide. 2 to the left, 2 to the right. Sterner's in trouble. Sterner is down at the 45-yard line. Javon Curse. That's his 2nd of the night.
Well, what's happening here is that they just don't know where to go. Curse is coming from the direction it would appear. Now maybe he's going to be in coverage. No, he's going to come up the field. Now he comes inside. You would think that for whatever reason, which I'm sure that in the films they're going to want to know, Bobby Williams just seems to let him go, and Curse ends up nailing the quarterback. Williams arguably is supposed to be one of their better offensive linemen, but in that situation, he just let Curse go. I guess he assumed that Sterner had already broken contained to the outside.
Curse his 3rd of the season, and here's the punt by Matt Waite. Oh, and it falls into the end zone. Another mistake for Arkansas. So the Gators are up 21-0, but Arkansas and Danny Ford can only wonder what might have been, having had 2 turnovers inside Gator territory and unable to capitalize on either. And so here's Florida, 1st and 10 at their own 20. Little dump pass to Fred Taylor, and Taylor is down at the 23-yard line. He is gang tackled.
Well, Charlie, one of the frustrations that Danny Ford has to have right here is you can take a look. They had their opportunities, 2 turnovers in Florida territory, great opportunities to score, but instead they fumbled one away inside the 20, and of course this last one they had the punt. Total offense for Arkansas up to this point, Charlie, they have 1 first down, 44 yards in total offense. Once again, Florida's defense doing a great job.
2nd down and 7. And Doug Johnson's pass is incomplete.
Backside blitz by Randy Garner. You're going to see him come from the bottom of your screen, come completely untouched, right in the middle of Johnson. Johnson able to get the ball off. But once again, the protection of Florida this evening has not been outstanding. Johnson has thrown a touchdown pass, but his numbers are not what they have been the last couple of games, Charlie.
Randy Garner is a freshman from Atlanta, Texas. Big fella. 6'4" and 241 pounds. 4 wides for Florida. Here's Johnson firing and completing to the 35-yard line. Jaquez Green across the 40 to the 42.
Now Green shows some smarts here a lot of receivers might not have. He knows that he needs to get the first down. Watch Green here as he settles down. He gets past the yard marker, settles down, makes the catch. Now watch, he's just going to go down. He's content to go down because he knows he has the first down, but instead he's able to break a tackle and get up the field. I'm not so impressed with the run of the breaking of the tackle, but his cognizance of where he is on the field. 5'9", 172 pounds. The word that I got is he has a 40-inch vertical jump. That's outstanding.
And what was interesting when we were talking to Steve Spurrier earlier in the week, what is it about Green that we don't know? And since he's a great practice player as well. Flag on the play, too much time in the huddle, apparently.
That's true. We would not know that.
But sometimes the Stars are somewhat reluctant
5-yard penalty on the offense.
to go all out.
Well, I think one of the advantages that he has is that he came in with the same class of Anthony and Hilliard, who are now first-round picks. And, of course, Steve Spurrier documented how well those two practiced. And so having them as examples and seeing where they are now, that's certainly where Jaquez Green wants to be.
5'9", 168 pounds. And every time he touches the ball, he picks up about 17. That's his average. And that is Fred Taylor. And every time he carries the ball, he picks up nearly 10. And as he did that time to the 45, Kenoy Kennedy made the tackle.
I wouldn't say that Fred Taylor necessarily makes this offense go because of how much they throw, but he certainly is a weapon to be reckoned with. Not just because of the yardage, but because defensively as a coordinator, you can't come in there and think that you can blitz or cover with 7 people, not when they have a tailback of his caliber back there.
Second down, 6 yards to go. High formation this time. And Johnson is sacked all the way back at the 35-yard line by C.J. McClain.
And C.J. McClain is able to get off the ball. Watch how quickly he anticipates the snap count. Right here. Watch the snap and watch him. Look at that right there, how quickly he is able to get off the ball. And as a result, he's got an advantage. He gets the arm under and goes past Cooper Carlisle for the sack. C.J. McClain, according to linebacker coach Dennis Winston, is somebody who is, he said it's not a question of his playing on Sunday. It's how much money he's going to make. He thinks he's that good.
The offensive line trying to protect Doug Johnson tonight. Flag on the play. Johnson throwing long for Jaquez Green. He can't hold on at the 20-yard line, and he should have.
Yeah, that falls under the heading of one of those where you don't see that very often. He had a touchdown. He was thinking touchdown, too. Ran before he made the catch.
Offsides, defense, penalties 5 yards, repeat third down.
Johnson having a struggle with the long ball, but this one he puts right there. Take a look at Green. Does he start to run a little bit quickly? There's a situation where when you're that open, slide and make the catch. See, he wanted the touchdown, so he wanted to stay on his feet, but to make sure of the catch, he needed to slide and catch it in his chest.
On third down, Johnson sacked again. Back at the 35-yard line, the cornerback, David Barrett, number 18, made the play, a sophomore. And Johnson is slow to get up.
And what's impressive about this, Charlie, is there is no quit in Arkansas. They're down 21-0. Certainly they could pack it in, but that's not what's happening. They're continuing to come with all guns, and as you mentioned, coming off the corner, number 18, David Barrett, is able to come in and make the sack.
And Jeremy Flowers is standing back at his own 25-yard line, awaiting the punt from Robert Louis Stevenson. And that was nearly blocked. Flowers at the 25 has nowhere to go. And he loses a couple on the play at the 23-yard line. Monday night, every Monday night, it's NFL Prime Monday, right after Sports Center. Highlights, analysis, and soundtracks. And then at 9 Eastern on ABC, a possible preview of the AFC Championship, a battle of the unbeaten, the New England Patriots, the Denver Broncos, this Monday night on ABC's Monday Night Football.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry. Did I hear Frank ringing in my ears? What was that? Monday Night Football.
Synergy.
Oh, yeah. Beautiful.
1st and 10 Arkansas at their own 23. Sterner throwing incomplete. Intended for the tight end, Joe Dean Davenport. And now we intend this pass to Bill Pito.
All right, Charlie, I caught it. Touchdown. Washington and Arizona State. Brock Heward here. Goes back to pass. The southpaw hits Jerome Pathan. Touchdown. And it's 6-0 after a failed point after.
Meanwhile, back in the swamp, it's still 21-0, but you get a sense that the Razorbacks are beginning to feel a little better about themselves. They're hanging tough.
Okay.
They're down 21, but outside of that 94-yard kickoff return by Bo Carroll, they have been playing a fairly tough brand, although they're trailing pretty badly.
Well, I think defensively they've been playing very well, but offensively they've got to generate more than the 50 yards of total offense they've put together up to this point. Sterner, Charlie, is 2 for 10 for 61 yards, and of course don't forget that the bulk, I shouldn't even say the bulk of that, the entire yardage was on that 166-yard pass to Emmanuel Smith. So if you take that play away, they're negative in passing yardage. They've got to generate some things here. Case Stevenson and Joe Ferguson have to pull some tricks out of their bag.
3rd down and 6. And Sterner is in the shotgun and rolling to his right. And he's in trouble. Throwing on the run, incomplete. Intended for Anthony Eubanks at the 35.
The idea was to roll right for Sterner, but the Florida defense would not enable him to get outside the contain. Once again, you can't overrate team speed, and Florida's got a truckload of it.
Danny Ford won the national championship at the age of 33 at Clemson back in 1981. Danny is now 49 years old. Matt Waite to punt it away, and Bo Carroll is standing back at his own 30. Correction. That is Jamie Richardson. And Richardson to the 43-yard line.
Stop by Wilson.
A reminder, tomorrow on The Deuce, the Pennzoil Nationals at 8:30 Eastern Time, 5:30 Pacific. The Deuce is the place to be, and then it's 6 o'clock. Preceding all that, the Craig and Exide 151 at 6 o'clock tomorrow on The Deuce. And here's Doug Johnson wide open. Jermaine Richardson. Richardson down to the 15-yard line. Jamie Richardson to the 15, a pickup of 54 on the play.
Jeremy Flowers had him in coverage, but he ends up falling down. Up to the upper right of your screen, Johnson once again with excellent protection rolls right a little bit, and you're going to see Flowers fall down right there. And Richardson all alone cuts up the sidelines for 54 yards. Once again, that was created because of the great protection that Johnson was able to get on that particular play.
And while they concentrate on Jaquez Green, Jamie Richardson is wide open, and here is Nafis Kareem for the touchdown. So many weapons in the arsenal. 27-0 Gators.
The thing that's impressive about this, Charlie, is that Johnson was able to make this throw before Kareem looked. It was a timing throw to the corner. Boy, that was just an outstanding play by the quarterback. Just put it right on the money.
Nafis Kareem, he's a junior from Marietta, Georgia. And for Kareem, just his 8th reception of the year. And here is the ever-present Collins Cooper. Got it. 28-0. Florida. Hold on, there's a flag on the play.
False start on the offensive line, 5-yard penalty.
As if Collins Cooper needs more practice on extra points.
Maybe the 5 yards will make a difference. I mean, if one thing we've been taught this year, Charlie, both on the college and the professional ranks, is that extra points and short field goals are not automatic anymore.
And this is basically a short field goal, isn't it? This would be a 25-yard extra point try. And he still got it. 28-0 Gators. 2 minutes left in the first half.
Now take a look at the end of the corner route when it's thrown. He hasn't even, what's amazing about this is now, look, the ball's thrown right now. Right now the ball is thrown and he hasn't even turned. Boy, that's just amazing, the timing that Doug Johnson has with his receivers.
Hafiz Kareem's second touchdown reception of the year. Doug Johnson tonight, 13 of 20, 194 yards and a couple of touchdowns. He has completed 7 of his last 8 passes. And it's 28-zip. And we are awaiting the kickoff of Robbie Stevenson.
So that gives him 19 in 4.5 games, and I'm sure one of the questions right now is how much longer is Doug Johnson going to play? I was about to say pad those stats, but I know that you don't want to hear that anymore. You want to hear the statistics. I'm just saying that it'll be interesting to see how much more the first team plays for Florida.
And here comes the kick. And well, they're going to run it out. Mark Henderson. Henderson, when all is said and done, gets to the 20-yard line. Here's Bill Pito. Bill?
All right, Charlie, coming up on the National Car Rental Halftime Report, the big game in the Big Ten between Iowa and Ohio State. Peyton Manning takes on his father's alma mater, and an update on the baseball playoff game between Baltimore and Seattle. That's at halftime.
And we'll see you in a minute and 50 seconds, Bill, and let's see if Arkansas can get some points on the board. They've had a tough time of it now. Branch and Nathan Norman join Quint Sterner in the shotgun formation. And Sterner throwing a high fly ball, incomplete, intended for Emmanuel Smith, but the pass is about 5 yards away from him. The wind is beginning to blow, and I think the wind may have caught that ball.
Well, Sterner certainly had his problems, but one of the things besides the obvious, which is great coverage and a serious pass rush, is the fact that Bob Stoops continues to give him different looks on defense. So they're coming with 4, coming with 7, coming with 6, man, zone, bracket, zone, blitzes, flat.
Sterner is 0 for his last 6, 2 for 11 tonight. Firing over the middle, and he completes it to Anthony Eubanks. Eubanks did not get out of bounds. The line of scrimmage will be the 40, a pickup of 20, and that's a first down.
It certainly looked like he got out of bounds to me. Take a look at the deep in route, and finally we call Eubanks' name. Big receiver throws the forearm to Tico Brown, but evidently they felt like that he was downed before he went out of bounds, and that's why the clock continues to run.
So it's 1st and 10 for Arkansas at their own 40-yard line after the pickup of 20. Eubanks and Smith are flanked to the top of the screen. Throwing over the middle, and it's complete. Caught on the run by Anthony Lucas into Florida territory and down at about the 38-yard line, a pickup of 22.
Florida comes with the blitz, and Sterner is able to take advantage. Take a look here. Here comes the blitz up the middle. He sees it down the middle, and he is going to find his receiver on the deep in route. Nice hands catch there, right in the middle of the field. Elijah Williams drops him, but not before he has a considerable gain.
Anthony Lucas, who came into the game with a career average of 18.4 yards per catch, picks up 22 on the play. And so here's Arkansas, 3rd time in the first half into Florida territory. The first 2 courtesy of turnovers. They were unable to capitalize on those.
Well, this is the first drive that we've called either Anthony's name, and I mean Eubanks or Lucas, the big star wide receivers who, coming into this game, had combined for 30 catches.
You mentioned that they both, they're Michael Irvin type physically. Lucas is 6'3", 190. Eubanks, 6'2", 195. And Emmanuel Smith, who caught that 66-yarder here in the first half, is 6'1" and 217. So they've got some size. First and 10, Florida, with 1 minute and 4 seconds to go in the first half, and that is very attractive headgear. From the 39. Sterner's got some room if he wants to run, and he does, and he's finally out of bounds, and he decided to run a little too late and knocked out of bounds at the line of scrimmage. No gain on the play. Johnny Rutledge records the tackle.
Johnny Rutledge shows why he's the leading tackler for Florida. Great pursuit. They came with a blitz once again. Rutledge able to run him down before, you know, he broke contain, as you mentioned. It appeared like he did have a lot of room to run, but instead Rutledge from the left of your screen is going to catch Sterner from behind. Well, that's great pursuit.
Loss of 2 on the play. Johnny Rutledge is Florida's leading tackler. Came into the game with 24 of them. And he got one just now. For a loss of 2 on the play. Here's Sterner with time firing over the middle, and it is intercepted. Yes! By Elijah Williams. And now they say it is incomplete.
Charlie, this falls into the heading of one of those, does the ground cause the fumble, but instead on the other side of the ball. Take a look at Williams here. Makes a pretty good athletic play to come up with it. There it is.
Yeah.
Oh, the ball came out.
Good call.
Good call by the official right on top.
Number 19, Shannon Sidney, was the intended receiver. Doug Johnson has led the Florida Gators to their 28-0 lead. Bo Carroll started it off with a 94-yard kick return, and here's Doug Johnson's numbers at the half. That timing pattern beautifully to Jaquez Green, 29 yards. And then there's Green again. And then Nafis Kareem. There were so many questions about Doug Johnson coming into this season. Could he replace Danny Werfel, the Heisman Trophy winner? The fact of the matter is he's thrown more passes, completed more passes, thrown more touchdown passes than Danny Werfel did through the first 4 games of last season. And Werfel is now living happily ever after in New Orleans, and no doubt watching this ball game tonight. Doug Johnson spent his summer playing third base for the Tampa Bay Devil Rays Rookie League team in West Virginia. Barely hit 200 and did not please his coach Spurrier 1 iota. He's a little more pleased now, and here is Sterner's pass into the end zone, tipped away at the last minute by Tico Brown.
There's a flag down, and I think they're going to catch Elijah Williams for an illegal chuck, but that is an outstanding play by Tico Brown. Elijah Williams is beat on the up route, and Brown able to come over at the last minute to bat it away.
Bill Goss getting more face time tonight than anybody.
Holding by the defense on a pass play. The penalty is 10 yards and automatic first down.
Penalty's going to be on Elijah Williams. Take a look here. Right here, he's got him by the shoulder pad. You can see he pulls on it, and that's what the official sees. But take a look at the pursuit by Brown. This looks, for all intents and purposes, like a touchdown. At the last minute, Brown able to lay out, just get a piece of the ball. Great play by that free safety.
Tico Brown, who is back from a torn medial collateral ligament that he suffered last year, he is all the way back. And here is the pass that's intercepted by Tico Brown at the 17-yard line.
I find it ironic, Charlie, that I had mentioned somewhere in the middle of the first quarter that Tico Brown over the last couple of games had not made any big plays for the Florida defense. Now suddenly he has made a number of big plays. But where Clint Sterner is going with this ball, nobody is quite sure. Overthrows the in route, and Brown is able to play center field and come up with a gift pick.
For Tico Brown, his second interception of the season, and with 33 seconds to go in the half. What do you think? Does Steve Spurrier run out the clock?
Let me think about that. Yes.
Well, I was going to give it to Fred Taylor. Fred Taylor to the 23-yard line, picks up of about 5 yards on the play, 2nd and 5.
Here's another flag is down.
Well, the Gator ladies have reason to be happy, and they are indeed legitimately number 1. And the penalty will be against Florida.
Size, defense, 5-yard penalty.
Correction. Ran the ball back the other way for a moment. So what does Danny Ford tell his team at the half? Didn't mean to stump you with that one, Coach.
No, I was trying to eliminate all the cliches in my head about positives and for next week and all of that. The thing you can say is play hard. I mean, you know, you're not going to come back and win this game, but you have to come out and you have to have some pride in yourselves.
And so we have come to the end of the first half. And it has been all Florida. They came into the game a 35-point favorite. And at the half, they lead by 28.
All right, Charlie, LSU and Vandy. Fourth quarter, LSU up 7. Damian Allen to Tavares Hogan's. Vandy down 1. They're going to go for 2 in the win. Delay of game called there, so they're going to try it again after the penalty. And on the second try, guess what happens? They're called for delay of game a second time. So now they're going to bring out the point after team as they go for 1 and a tie. And the kick is blocked. This all happened with 12 seconds to go. LSU hangs on to win a wild one, 7-6. You can catch LSU against Florida next week on ESPN at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. The National Car Rental Halftime Report is coming up. Bill Pito back on the National Car Rental Halftime Report. It's great to have you with us. Florida all over Arkansas, 28-zip at the half. A lot to get you caught up on, including Ohio State against Iowa, the big game in the Big Ten. Both coming in at 4-0, but neither really had been tested so far this year. Tavian Banks focused. Andy Katzenmoyer hits Banks behind the line on this play. 1st and 10 late in the first quarter. Banks would get open on the post pattern, but wide open, overthrown. Orlando Pace, the Ohio State alum, now in the NFL, watching the block here by Katzenmoyer, who got some time on offense as well as he plows a guy away for Wiley to score. 10-0 Buckeyes, and then Matt Sherman's pass is tipped, and Katzenmoyer says, thank you very much. Ohio State goes on to win by the final score of 23-7. The Buckeyes have won 6 of the last 7 against Iowa. Banks coming in, the nation's leading rusher, held to just 84 yards. He had just 11 yards in the first half. More now from Chris Fowler and company in Columbus.
Bill, thank you. As night falls in Columbus, the Buckeyes' Rose Bowl hope suddenly a lot brighter. The win over Iowa sets up a big showdown next week at Penn State. Lee Corso and Kirk Herbstreit join me from a bedlam here in Columbus. Frankly, Ohio State, a very well-played game. No turnovers, very few penalties, and it shows you how meaningless team stats are in September as the Iowa Hawkeyes, with a top-rated offense, held it at 7 points. Afterwards, Kevin Pearson, the running back, spoke with Steve Seifert.
Talk about this victory. Did you guys prove something today? I think we did. We came out and established our stuff, established the running game most importantly, and we got the job done. Iowa's a good team. They fought hard, but we got the job done. We got to win.
Especially got the job done on defense. Andy Katzenmoyer, brilliant beginning and the end of the game. And you called it. Tavian Banks, #1 rusher, was no factor.
Well, the reason I felt that Tavian Banks would not be a factor was because of the way the safeties and the linebackers were going to come up into the line of scrimmage, forcing Matt Sherman and Tim Dwight to beat them. They felt very confident that their chances and ended up with a win. Fred Puckett, the defensive coordinator.
Okay, I was wrong. I thought the Buckeyes would beat them, right? Okay, but Andy Katzenmoyer, to me, is the #1 linebacker in the nation. I coach against Pesper Johnson, Granishar, Cousino. This guy's better than anybody. He should win the Butkus Award right now. I was wrong.
We got to get you a bigger helmet, Coach, or else you got to shrink your head. The Buckeyes defense does it. All right, more on this game later on this evening over on ESPN. But Bill Pito has more on one of the biggest wins for Texas A&M in the 90s as they go to Colorado. Let's go back to Bill.
All right, Chris, here we go. First quarter, Texas A&M trailing 3-0. Chris Cole will get the shovel pass and fumble. Ryan Black recovers. It's a Colorado football. 4th and goal for the Bucks from the 1. And Herschel Troutman is stuffed. So Texas A&M takes over. 3rd and goal for them this time. Texas A&M with an opportunity. And Randy McCown is sacked on this play. And not only is he sacked, but he loses the football. Neither team can punch it in the end zone. 3rd quarter, Colorado trailing. Troutman gets popped. He fumbles. Philip Myers recovers the ball, leads to an A&M touchdown. They're up 13-3. 4th quarter, Colorado driving down 6, under 2:30 to go. John Hessler picked off A&M's got the football and the victory. As Texas A&M wins it by the final score of 16-10, they are now 4-0, while Colorado drops to 2-2. Kansas State and Nebraska. First quarter activity, final seconds of the first quarter. Nebraska leads it by 1. The Huskers have won 28 straight against K-State coming in. Washington, Arizona State. First quarter, no score. Brock Huer, the southpaw for Washington. Rashawn Sheehy. This is Sheehy all the way. I cracked on that one. 36 yards down the sideline, same drive. Huard finds Jerome Pathan. Corner of the end zone, 14 yards and a touchdown. They missed the point after. They were up 6-0. Back comes Arizona State. J.R. Redmond here. Touchdown. And ASU at that point led 7-6. That's your score right now in the second quarter. The Sun Devils coming in. They've won 9 straight in the Pac-10, leading by 1 before half. Washington State beats Oregon. The final score in that one was 24-13. Washington State is the last unbeaten team in the Pac-10. Mississippi, Tennessee. Archie Manning watching his son play his alma mater. Peyton Manning intercepted here at the Mississippi 1-yard line, so Tennessee can't convert there. The Heisman hopeful, though, would storm back. Manning takes a 20-yard touchdown to the cutting, hitting Marcus Nash. Ball's up 7-3. Down 21-3, Ole Miss would try to make a change in the third quarter. Tailback John Avery, look at him go. 74 yards and a touchdown. Ole Miss trailing now 21-9. Fourth quarter, Tennessee trying to extend their lead. Manning to Nash. Beautiful play. It would set up a field goal, and Tennessee goes on to win by the final score of 31-17. Tennessee has now won its last 10 overall against Mississippi. Manning threw for 2 touchdown passes. Auburn, South Carolina. Fourth quarter, Damian Craig back to pass. His team up 14-6, intercepted by Homer Torrance. Karsten Bailey strips the football, fumble. Look at this crazy play. The ball rolls out of the end zone, safety. Auburn up 16-6. They go on to win 23-6. Craig, 321 yards, his 5th career 300-yard game. That ties Pat Sullivan's school record. Karsten Bailey, 36-yard touchdown pass. You saw that. Goodson also had a touchdown reception. Elsewhere, Alabama and Kentucky, 10-7 Kentucky after 1 quarter. Georgia and Mississippi State. First quarter, Mike Bobo. Robert Edwards has got it. 7-0 Georgia. Edwards, 3 touchdowns on the day. Third quarter, 21-zip Georgia. Bobo to Tony Smalls. That's another touchdown. Bobo, 257 yards, 3 TD passes on the day, and Georgia wins it 47-0. Baseball activity. We got Baltimore and Seattle. The M's trying to stay alive. They lead at 4-0. Jay Buhner has a solo home run. Sereno has a solo home run, and it looks like there will be a game 4. You can watch it on ESPN, the original. Seattle and Baltimore tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Back with much more on our halftime report after this.
28-0 at the half, and it has a score would lead you to believe it has been all Florida.
Total yards is what stands out. Less than 100 yards. Less than 100 yards here in the first half for Arkansas.
Charlie Steiner along with Todd Christensen. Last week, the Florida Gators led Kentucky 49-7 at the half, and while they won 55-28, there were some cranky coaches on the Florida side.
Yeah, isn't it interesting? You just can't please these people. The thing that they were dissatisfied with is that they let down being up so much, and they gave up what they told, what their vernacular was garbage points and yards. They want to prevent that. They want a commitment of 60 minutes, but you know what, Charlie, the psychology of that is you have to rise to the occasion sometimes. And, you know, whether you're young or you're old, you're up 28-0. Sometimes that can be difficult.
Especially with a team that has yet to show a 100-yard rusher all year. Arkansas has had nothing on the ground, and they continue to struggle. There's Steve Spurrier, and, of course, he has had his halftime speech and telling his team to keep its collective head in the game. But, you know, when you're up 28-0 or 49-7 as they were over Kentucky last week, and then upset about some late fourth quarter points, it sounds like you're complaining about a Rolls Royce with a speck of dust on the dashboard.
Yes. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
Florida is sitting pretty as we begin the second half. Mark Henderson, the freshman, across the 20 to the 22. Now let's go down to Chris Marlowe. Chris?
All right, talking to Steve Spurrier as he came off the field, I think they're going to be in the pour-it-on mode. He told me we're not going to let up. The defense is going to play hard for 60 minutes. Meanwhile, Danny Ford, he said, Florida's a good football team, but we made it easy for them. In the second half, we have to execute and play harder. So expect Arkansas to come out fired up. Back to you.
Arkansas had 2 turnovers inside the Florida 30 and could come up with no points on either occasion. And now here is the first play of the second half. Eric Branch maybe gets a yard. Defensively, the Florida Gators, first half and the second half.
When the game is in doubt, there in the first half, you can see that they really put it to the opponents in terms of the passing. But in the second half, of course, you know, the natural letdown, and those are the points that they want to eliminate. And of course, Bob Stoops emphasized over and over again when we chatted with him that that is something that they just do not want to repeat. They want to make sure that people play the entire time.
On second down and 10, Sterner now being flushed out of the pocket, throwing on the run, and it's intercepted by Fred Weary. Weary to the 15, Weary to the 10, Weary down at the 5. Danny Ford said he could ill afford to make mistakes here in the second half. Second play, it's down to the 5.
And Charlie, you called it earlier. Now he is tied all time with Florida interceptors rather, with his 14th. Clint Sterner going against the grain. Watch as he's going to roll to his left and throw across his body. So many times they tell you not to do this, but there's a pretty good play by Weary to cut in front of Emmanuel Smith. And of course, you know, maybe Elijah Williams isn't the only guy that can play a little bit of running back. Weary breaking some tackles, almost goes the distance, instead pulled down at the 5.
And Fred Weary has just tied Will White as the all-time leading pass interceptor in Florida history. And here is Doug Johnson throwing and completing to Taylor, and Taylor is down at the 2, tackled by Marcus Campbell.
And Doug Johnson absolutely got whacked. He is getting up very slowly. You can see that he is hurting a little bit. Take a look at the bottom of your screen. Watch at the end. Coming once again on the blitz is number 1 for Arkansas, Randy Garner, and his helmet catches him. You see Johnson in a lot of pain, but he's hanging with it.
Not going to come out now on second and goal at the 2. Trips to the left. Taylor the single setback. And it's fumbled. Bad snap.
And Charlie, the natural reaction here for us second-guessing broadcasters is to wonder as to how much that injury affected him there trying to pull back. Obviously, he was a little bit stiff. By the way he recovered the ball would seem to indicate that, you know, he's hurting.
Third down and goal. They lost maybe a yard on the play at the 3.
Looking for a throw here. How about you?
Trips to the left. Only Taylor in the backfield. And you got the throw into the end zone. Touchdown, Florida. Jaquez Green. His 8th touchdown of the season. His 2nd of the night.
Good protection, plenty of time. The receiver underneath runs the very short. Take a look at the job the 2 receivers underneath do. They run the 2 hooks to occupy the inside defenders. Jaquez Green with the deep slant has no one in the back of the end zone to cover him. Open for 6.
Green 4 catches, 67 yards, and 2 touchdowns tonight. And the ever-present Collins Cooper. 35-0. ESPN's presentation of college football is brought to you by Activision. Rule out nothing. And by Audi. For the dealer nearest you, call 1-800-4-AUDI. Jaquez Green with his second touchdown reception of the night, his 8th of the season. Arkansas has shot itself in the foot a couple of times. Florida has made the most of the takeaways. Ontario Moss fails to get to the 20. Now here's Bill Pito. Bill?
All right, Charlie, the American League playoffs, Seattle and Baltimore. Harold Baines up with a tying run on second in the 9th. It's 4-2 at this point, and Heathcliff Slocum actually gets the job done. Baines flies out. Seattle wins 4-2. That means there will be a Game 4, and you can watch it on ESPN tomorrow. 4 p.m. Eastern Time. O's up 2-1.
Heathcliff Slocum. Slocum if you got him.
Did I sense a little cynicism? Heathcliff Slocum actually got the job done? Wow.
Seattle has had a very tough time with his bullpen, no kidding. And here goes Sterner down for the count at the 5-yard line. Willie Cohen's made the tackle along with Willie Rogers, 54 and 55.
You know, Cohen seems to be having an excellent game this evening. That's the second time we've had him on a sack, and I think he had a half sack with another. Look at that. He comes off the ground to come and get on top, and as you mentioned, Rogers jumps in there for a third of a sack. I mean,
who's crazy about stats?
Well, no, but
come on.
How do you divide that? How do you divide that? If a guy gets there first, but another guy's at the ankles, what? Just curious.
Second down and 20. Sterner's in trouble again. This time he's going to run it out and get down. Oh, he fumbled the ball. Oh, they call it down. They call it down at the 13.
Charlie, coming into this game, Sterner had been sacked 13 times, so he certainly knows what it is to run around. But you know what? That's a young man that, if not this evening, if he can get home in time, then probably sometime tomorrow there'll be a pretty good chunk of time spent in the whirlpool. That's going to be a sore young man.
There's going to be a lot of ice on that flight home tonight. Well, they had a difficult time getting out of Fayetteville last night. They did not even arrive in Gainesville till nearly 10 o'clock. They have a very small runway at Fayetteville. And so they have to gingerly get a specific size jet onto the runway. And here's Sterner throwing over the middle, and he completes it to Eubanks across the 35 to the 37-yard line, a pickup of 22 and a first down on the play.
Well, Eubanks is somebody that has been making the big catches for Arkansas throughout his career. Sterner trying to go right, buying some time, looking back. It's a nice throw on the run and a good catch by Eubanks for a big first down. And there's a man that's not very happy right there, giving up a 3rd and 15.
First and 10 at the 37-yard line. Head defensive coach. He really is, too.
I was going to say, you'll be saying that pretty soon.
Yeah. And Branch can't even get back to the line of scrimmage. He is brought down by Javon Curse. Keith Kelsey was in on the play as well, and Derek Chambers.
Kay Stevenson, the offensive coordinator for Arkansas, certainly is cognizant of the fact that they need to establish the run at some point throughout the season before they can really have their passing game in sync. And with the absence, as you pointed out, of what they thought was going to be their star tailback, that's going to be a struggle for them.
Second down and 10. Sterner fires, and he completes it at the 40-yard line to Michael Williams. Here once again, Bill Pito. Bill?
All right, Charlie, we have Washington, Arizona State. Brock Heward here for Washington, goes back to pass, and he's got Rashawn Sheehy. Sheehy would go down to the 4 and score one play later. Washington up 19-7 at the half.
You know, watching that highlight, Charlie, I'm reminded of the fact that maybe, just maybe, and again, you know, you can second guess all you want, if Heward doesn't sprain his ankle, maybe they beat Nebraska.
And I was reminded that Bill Pito can reach a place with his voice in octaves that I can't even dream about. On 3rd and 6, Sterner fires, and he completes it across the 45 down to the 40-yard line. Shannon Sidney gets into Florida territory, a pickup of 21 on the play.
Remember in the first half, Shannon Sidney is the one who couldn't quite make the catch of the punt down at the 1-yard line. But once again, Sterner doing an outstanding job of buying time, enabling his receivers to find the open gaps. Scrambles, moves a little bit to his right, throws across his body. That's a nice throw right there. That's really a good throw, moving right and throwing left.
Last 2 completions for Sterner have been going away and then throwing across the body, and both times sharply thrown balls. Shannon Sidney was the SEC champion this year in the 400 meters, so he can run. 1st and 10 at the 40-yard line. And here's Sterner throwing and completing it to the tight end, Al Herringer, a pickup of about 4 on the play.
You know, I was just thinking to myself that Clint Sterner is somebody that, you know, right now, struggling a little bit, and gosh, you know, they don't quite have the running game. You pointed out earlier, young man's only a sophomore. You know, in the next year and the year after that, we could be talking about a star quarterback here.
Well, Arkansas only has 3 seniors starting tonight. And so they think their better class is really next year, 2nd down and 7. And with a record of 3-1 coming into the game in the upset against Alabama. And Branch can't get out of his own way. No gain on the play. That was Derek Chambers and Keith Kelsey involved in the play. There is Tim Beauchamp as well.
Once again, the misdirection, trying to go in a direction where they're hoping that the speed of the Gators will work against them. It did not in that case. The defensive end and the defensive back stay at home and drop for a loss.
3rd down and 10 following the 3-yard loss. Sterner is in the shotgun. Sterner in the corner, incomplete. Flag on the play. Fred Weary may be called for interference.
Emmanuel Smith was going to the corner, and Weary ran the route for him. But before Smith could get to the corner, Weary came under his chin. The official was right there. I don't know that Weary has a beef.
Holding defense. Penalties 10 yards. Automatic 1st down.
Of course, not that I have perused every play particularly, but that's about the only mistake it would seem at this point that Fred Weary has made. He's been great in coverage. Has the pick, as we documented earlier, that ties him all time as a leading interceptor for Florida. There he got caught with the hold.
He is a senior from Jacksonville, Florida. 9 penalties tonight. Steve Spurrier, ever the perfectionist, not the least bit pleased with that. And we're going to take a timeout here. Clint Sterner did not like the defensive set that was set up by Bob Stoops, and so we're going to take ourselves a timeout. 35-0 Florida, but the Razorbacks have the ball at the Gator 30. You are looking at the offensive coordinator for the University of Arkansas, Kay Stevenson, and he may have had the best gig in the world in 1966 at Florida.
Yeah.
The understudy to the Heisman Trophy winning quarterback named Steve Spurrier. Stevenson, of course, went on to become, albeit briefly, head coach of the Buffalo Bills, came into Arkansas this year to try to rebuild a one-way offense. It's been simply ground attack, and now they're trying to put the ball considerably more in the air, and this has been a year of adjustment for them. And Eric Branch gets back to the line of scrimmage and maybe lost a yard.
You're saying to yourself at home, it's 35-0. Why do you run the football? Well, part of the situation here is you've got to at least keep the defensive linemen on their heels a little bit, because if they can just come unencumbered, white knuckle it, and come forward, it just
there's
isn't going to
Steve
work.
Spurrier in the orange, of course, the Heisman Trophy winner in 1966, and Kay Stevenson just sat and watched him a lot, didn't he?
Yeah, I bet you know Kay Stevenson tells all his friends, hey, let me tell you something. If he gets hurt, I'm the man.
I'm there.
I got the trophy.
I get a piece of that trophy. Gets a piece of nothing. Look at Sterner. Pass and complete. Oh, there's Hubert Loudermilk.
Nuts, he dropped it.
And he dropped the ball.
What an effort by Sterner. Man, oh man, beautiful 360. Had kind of a Baryshnikov thing to it. Boy, oh boy, that's a great athletic play.
You get the sense that Sterner is just outnumbered here tonight.
Oh man, but that's a great play right there. Oh, that's tough. Got to make the catch. Loudermilk begging for the ball. Okay, you got it, but oh, can't hang on.
Louder. Soft. 3rd down and 10. Hubert Loudermilk, a sophomore. He'll be reliving that one on the flight home tonight. Sterner with a lot of time. And now he's going to be sacked back at the 37-yard line. Once again, the ever-present Willie Cohen.
If I'm not mistaken, I think that's his 3rd sack. Number 55, Cohen's. Here he comes from defensive end this time as opposed to defensive tackle. Again, kind of a coverage thing. Sterner bounces out, but right into his hands. That takes him out of field goal range.
Cohen's with some help from Derek Chambers, and Matt Waite will be on to punt it away again. Willie Cohen's came into the game with 1 sack. Has at least 2 more tonight. Jaquez Green standing back at his own 10-yard line. And looks like that punt's going to be way too deep. And it is. So Florida will take over with a 35-point lead. 1st and 10 at their own 20. 5:29 to go, 3rd quarter. As we begin the final 5.5 minutes of the 3rd quarter, they were doing the wave during the timeout. And the Florida team tried to huddle up at their own 10-yard line, couldn't hear one another, so they kept asking the fans to be quiet. They didn't listen. Fred Taylor off left tackle for 3. Here's Bill Pito.
Okay, Charlie, Northwestern and Wisconsin, the game over on ESPN. The original Tim Hughes will find Joel Stewart. Northwestern failed on the 2-point attempt, so they're up by 1, 14-13.
Cats and the Badgers. And we had a flag here.
Mel Bradley, the nose tackle, was offside, so they'll set up 1st and 5.
Well, Florida still sticking with their starting offensive team. And here is Fred Taylor, and he has a big gain across the 35 to the 37-yard line. A 1st down, a pickup of 11. He's been averaging double digits on the ground tonight.
So why throw? Able to get out front in the sweep. Taylor cuts back against the grain across the 35-yard line. As you mentioned, yardage is impressive. 6'1", 223-pounder.
Tell you what, we've seen a lot of Randy Gardner, the defensive end, number 1. He was in on the play. He wasn't even on the 2 deep as this week began, but he has been making a lot of noise tonight. Here's Johnson's pass. It's complete at the 45-yard line to Jamie Richardson. There is a flag. There are 2 flags on the play. A 17-yard pickup if the play stands. The flag will be against the Razorbacks.
Illegal participation. Defense played with 12 players. Penalties declined. 1st down.
Illegal participation. That would be too many men on the field, I think.
Well, once again, you're down 35-0. Let's give something else a shot. See if we can
see if that illegal participation play can work.
At 12 players, it's a big deal. Come on.
From the eye, Fred Taylor. Across the 45 down to about the 44. Pickup of nearly 3 on the play. At the size of Mo Collins, number 79. 320 pounds.
Another flag.
This is beginning to get sloppy, isn't it?
Offense. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Repeat the down.
Collins was apparently called for the flag. This is his 23rd career start for this 320-pounder.
You get him the extra pound? Had a big lunch, what?
He had a little water at the half. 1st down and 19. Here's Johnson throwing incomplete, intended for Fred Taylor, and he wanted a flag. He thought that Corey Nichols was on top of him, and there is no flag.
On Doug Johnson's case, he needed to see that Nichols was all over him, go to an alternate receiver. I think if there's something that he can improve upon, that certainly is it. Trying to find the second and third options.
So Florida, after this week, goes to LSU next week, 7 o'clock Eastern time on ESPN. Week after that, they are at Auburn. And the week after that, at Jacksonville against Georgia. So 3 fairly difficult road games coming up. And here's Johnson unloading, and he does to Fred Taylor. And Taylor is brought down at the 45-yard line, back to the original line of scrimmage, and not much else. C.J. McClain was in on the play along with Corey Nichols.
So that saved a 20-yard loss, did Fred Taylor, by coming off and being a spark plug for him. Good pass, or good coverage, too. Just able to get it off before he goes down. Johnson has been knocked down an inordinate amount of times in this game, despite the fact that they're up 35-0.
Carlos McDougall, number 90, put on the big rush. Hawk continues to run. A little more than 3 minutes to go here in the third quarter. Oh, it's a bullet to Jamie Richardson, but it's incomplete at the 43-yard line.
Another flag is down in the backfield. I think that's probably going to be a holding, and Arkansas is going to let it go.
Right.
I think the penalty may have been against Cooper Carlisle, number 70.
Holding, offense, penalties decline, 4th down.
And again, why in the world don't they announce the numbers of those who commit the penalties? What's the secret?
You're asking the wrong guy, Holmes.
85,000 people saw it here. Another X number of million people are watching on television. Fourth and 19. And Jeremy Flowers from the 17 across the 20 to about the 24-yard line.
Hey, no flags. Just thought I'd mention that.
Yeah, this game has really crawled to a stale's pace here in the third quarter, what with all these penalties. Now let's go downstairs to Chris Marlowe. What's going on, Chris?
All right, here is the pressure update. 6 hurries, 6 knockdowns, 2 sacks, a couple of caused fumbles. Generally, the protection for Doug Johnson has been pretty good tonight. Charlie?
And so are his numbers, and so is the lead. 35-0 Florida.
Now, wait a minute. All those knockdowns for recent sacks, and it's generally been pretty good. I think what's happened here is maybe the coverage is broken down from time to time, or Florida's getting more opportunities than Arkansas.
1st and 10 at the 24-yard line. This is Eric Branch for not much, and here's Bill Pito for a lot.
We have Alabama and Kentucky. Charlie, Freddie Kitchens, the quarterback, will go back to pass and find Chad Koss 34 yards over the middle and a touchdown, and Bama is up 14-13 at the half.
Kentucky still licking their wounds, having had them administered by Florida here last week, 55-28. Kentucky was trailing 49-7 at the half here. And now Arkansas is going to call themselves a timeout with 2 minutes and 18 seconds left here in the third quarter. 35-0 for the #1 team in the country. At the half, when Florida was leading by a score of 28-0, they had outscored all of their opponents so far this year 146-17 in the first half. And they've added 7 more here in the third quarter. And now here's Stern. The ball is tipped and nearly intercepted. It was Javon Curse, number 42, and boy, he's playing a whale of a game tonight.
A lot of defenders are. You know, the thing that stands out with regards to the Florida defenders, here's Curse right here, is that you've got 12 players on this team, 12, that have double-digit tackles. So what that means is you've got people coming all over from all different angles, as opposed to some teams where you look and you see maybe the strong safety or an inside backer has like 30 or 40 tackles. They've got a lot of people that are making plays.
3rd down and 9. And Sterner is in trouble again. And down he goes again. Mike Moten, Derek Chambers combine on the sack, the 6th of the night.
Well, it just can't be very much fun for Sterner at this point. Situation where here comes Moten on the stunt, comes in, gets some help because the double team comes off him, and Sterner's a dead duck. You can see right there. He's on his feet, but he said, well, you know what? I've been taking some whacks. I'm going down.
And now here is Matt Waite to punt it away. And Jaquez Green. A call for the fair catch at the 44-yard line. This Thursday, start your college football weekend off with the Weekend Kickoff Show presented by Coors Light. And then stay tuned for a Big East battle. Syracuse, big win today. They face the Scarlet Knights of Rutgers. Watch all the action on ESPN, your home of college football.
Speaking of that, did you happen to see Lee Corso with the Buckeye helmet on?
That's talk about attractive headgear. 1st and 10 at the 44-yard line. Rod Frazier and Fred Taylor in the backfield. And Johnson's pass is knocked down at the line of scrimmage, I think by Randy Garner. Yeah, it was.
You know, to the credit of Arkansas, I really like the way these young people are playing. Down 35-0, still hustling all over the place. And as you mentioned, Garner had a couple of big plays here in this game.
He has been probably the most impressive, along with Melvin Bradley, of all the defenders for the Arkansas defense. And here is Johnson's throw. Wide open is Nafis Kareem, but it is incomplete at the 20-yard line. Defensed by Marcus Campbell.
Another flag is down. Kareem on the post pattern. Campbell in coverage. He slides, and it's a catchable ball, but maybe it came out when Campbell fell on top of him.
Holding offense. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Repeat, 2nd down.
The referee, Bill Goss, getting an inordinate amount of face time on your TV tonight. More than the coach.
You saw Steve Spurrier shaking his head. He can't be very happy with the fact now that the team is double digits in penalties.
2nd down and 24. Watch out. And it's complete to the tight end, Aaron Kinney, number 89. And that is a short of a 1st down, a pickup of 21 on the play.
Kel, I think that was Terrace Ross, but nonetheless, it's always a thrill for me to see a tight end make a catch.
Yes, it was. 88, not 89. It's 3rd down and 1. And right up the gut, Eugene McCaslin. And he's got the 1st down.
We talked earlier about the fact that the fullbacks McCaslin and Frazier have some big shoes to fill with the loss of Terry Jackson to knee surgery. It hasn't been as crucial an issue tonight because of their ability. Taylor's running and, of course, the catches downfield. But they're going to play a pivotal role here, particularly in these next 2 weeks when they have some serious opponents on the road in LSU and Auburn.
And then at Jacksonville against Georgia. 3 weeks in a row on the road for Florida after tonight. And here's Eugene McCaslin again to the 40-yard line. A pickup of about 4 yards. And it is 35-0. Fred Weary tonight has equaled the all-time interception record for the University of Florida. This is 15th. And that led to the only touchdown of the 3rd quarter. And that is the only touchdown of the 3rd quarter. So it's 35-0 for Florida. And when you have tripled your opposition in total yardage, that explains the 35-0 score. And this will be the first play of the 4th quarter. 2nd down for Florida at the Arkansas 40, second at about 7. And Johnson is now calling an automatic and telling Gene McCaslin to move on up. And that is McCaslin for just a couple. Here's Bill Pito.
Charlie, Nebraska has beaten Kansas State the last 28 times, and they're up by 14 at the half. Quarterback Scott Frost on the keeper. Huskers up 20-6 after 2 quarters.
You know, Charlie Frost took a lot of abuse last year for not leading that team where it should have gone, but he's done some pretty good things thus far this year, particularly that win up in Washington, which was a huge win.
There is an injured Gator. It is Corey Yarborough, a reserve center, 6'2", 293 pounds. Where was it? The ankle they're looking at? Or the foot? What? We will tell you how he fares when we come back. 35-0 Florida. ESPN's presentation of college football is brought to you by BMW, the ultimate driving machine, and by Timex Ironman Triathlon with all-day Indiglow. It takes a licking and keeps on ticking. And Corey Yarborough has been helped off the field with a something to his left foot. And so Wiley Rich is back at starting center. And Johnson still in the lineup despite the 35-point lead, and he overthrows the intended receiver, Jamie Richardson, at the 10-yard line. You think it's time for Mr. Johnson to take a seat and perhaps Noah Brindise or Jesse Palmer to come in?
Nope. I think the Hogs in his last 14:37 are okay. Yeah, I do. But that's just obviously Steve Spurrier has a different idea. He wants the starters to do something here. I mean, he's emphasizing the 60-minute thing, and I guess it applies to the offense too.
3rd down and 2. And Johnson with a lot of time. Pass is incomplete, and the reason it's incomplete is because of the interference penalty to be called against Norman Nero. And Doug Johnson, back at the 50-yard line, is on one knee. And no, he's just gone down. And it looks like the left knee.
Take a look at the end of the play. It looked like his knees hit together there at the end. I don't think that's... I was going to say that was a little bit of a late hit. And Steve Spurrier not very happy about it. Well, it appeared the 2 knees hit together. And Noah Brindise is probably going to get some face time, to use your phrase. Charlie?
Meanwhile, they are attending to Doug Johnson.
Take a look here. Is the left right there? It didn't appear the left ankle was planted. It just looked like the 2 legs collided a little bit there.
Delancey Kent, number 46, made the hit. And Johnson is still down. And considering all that Johnson has done to this point in the season, Steve Spurrier is concerned, and that is Doug Johnson's dad. He's got the blue shirt and the Walkman, and his mom has the glasses on. That is the Johnson family, and boy, isn't their heart beating right now. He's up, but not easily. He's being helped off. Well, just 2 minutes ago, I asked whether or not it was too late in the game for Johnson to still be in, and wouldn't you know it, 1 play later, he's injured. And remember, Florida plays next week at LSU and at Auburn the week after that. And so Noah Brindise is the quarterback with Fred Taylor, the single setback. And Green in motion, and Taylor busts a tackle. Taylor still on his feet inside the 15, down to about the 12-yard line.
Charlie, you might ask a question now after that. Why would Fred Taylor be back in the game? Well, the answer is easy. He needed 5 yards to go over 100 yards for his 5th straight 100-yard game, and he just did it.
103 yards tonight, and that's his 5th consecutive game of 100 yards or more, tying Emmitt Smith, who could run a little. 2nd down and 2. Who? Here's Brindise throwing toward the end zone, and he overthrows the intended receiver, Jaquez Green. Marcus Campbell was defensing on the play.
Timing, obviously an issue there. Well, I'm just saying that inevitably the backup quarterback doesn't get the same amount of repetitions as that man, Doug Johnson. As I say, you know what? Sometimes it's a mystery. It looked, for all intents and purposes, as if the two legs collided. It didn't look like a foot was planted or, you know, a knee or an ankle went at some sort of oblique angle. But
he's got that left leg straightened out. Frazier and Taylor in the I formation. That is Rod Frazier, Tommy's younger brother, moving just a bit as Noah Brindise calls. Looking sideline and overthrowing Travis McGriff. Marcus Campbell again in on the play defensively, and now we've got some fisticuffs. The officials are pointing at an Arkansas player. And Danny Ford is now on the field, calling his players over. Didn't see how it started. Doug Johnson can only look on.
you can see right there, there's the first swing. It appeared that Melvin Bradley took a shot at number 72, Deke Story, and that's what started things out. Of course, you know, you have to ask yourself the question, Charlie, at this point, 35-0. It's the 4th quarter. Why aren't you running 3rd and 2? What's up with this? And I understand all the theories. I understand the idea that, hey, you know what, you play for 60 minutes, et cetera, et cetera. And certainly,
referee Bill Goss now.
2 dead ball fouls. Personal foul on the defense.
That would be Melvin
dead
Bradley.
Ball foul, personal foul on the offense.
And that would be Deke Story.
Rejected for fighting.
Story and Hale.
4th down.
Story and Bradley have been thrown out. Number 41, Melvin Bradley for Arkansas. And Deke Story, the backup left guard for Florida. Deke Story's nickname is the Big Nasty. I'm not sure you want to mess with somebody nicknamed the Big Nasty.
Didn't seem to bother Melvin Bradley too much.
No, it didn't. Story about Melvin Bradley. They asked him what was his favorite class at Arkansas. The answer was bowling.
Oh. Or it could have been martial arts. Well, he was working it there.
Well, he struck.
He's got some yokes on him, doesn't he?
Deke Story, yes, he does.
Good pair of pipes. Interesting to see a nose guard wearing number 41. He doesn't look anything like Dave Osborne of the Vikings.
Yo, you're right about that. And a lot younger, too.
Yeah. Well, now 4th down and 2. It's going to be interesting to see what Florida decides to do offensively.
Half the distance to the goal line. That creates an automatic 1st down. That's followed by it'll be 1st and 10.
So they go half the distance to the goal, and then they go back.
And Danny Ford, excuse me, I have a question. Actually raising his hand. I have a question. How many times have we seen this on whatever level of football? And it's, you know, it's personal foul. They decline each other, and it's 4th down. So now 1st and goal at the 21. Is that what the explanation is? Boy, Danny Ford isn't going to buy into that. I'm not sure I am either.
Not sure I understand that at all. Brindise will hand it off to Fred Taylor, and there's another flag. This game is beginning to deteriorate in a hurry.
Taylor carries. Flag.
Holding offense. 10-yard penalty. First down.
Chris Marlowe, what's going on downstairs?
Injury report, Doug Johnson has a bruised left knee. It's not serious, but he's done for the night. Meanwhile, Corey Yarborough, he has a left ankle injury. It might be broken. They're X-raying. And Zach Pillar, who twisted his knee early in the first half, is out. He's going to have an MRI on Monday. Back to you, Charlie.
Here's Brindise throwing sideline, and Jaquez Green was out of bounds. Zach Pillar, if he should miss any time, that could be a very big loss for Florida. Their starting left tackle, 6'5" and 320. And he has already missed 2 games this season, Pillar has. And now he's got the MRI on Monday. And when you lose one of your starting tackles, especially from the left side, Zach Pillar, that's big trouble for Florida. Second down and 20 for the Gators. Noah Brindise on in relief of the injured Doug Johnson. Brindise trying again, and it's incomplete again. Nafis Kareem.
Another flag.
The intended receiver, and it would appear to be interference. It is flag night here in Gainesville. Lots of yellow flags.
Holding defense. 10-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
So instead of 2nd and goal from the 30, that penalty calls it, or creates, a first down and 10 for the Gators at the 20. .13 and 5 seconds left in the game. Bo Carroll is now in the backfield. And Carroll, who began the game with a 94-yard touchdown run on a kickoff return, gets it down to the 10. He picks up 11 and very close to the first down.
And Rod Frazier with an excellent lead block. Take a look at the fullback on this play. Watch the block by Rod Frazier. You can see right there he had dropped the cornerback, enabling Carroll to get the extra yardage to get down to the 10-yard line.
Bo Carroll has run a 10.58 100-meter.
What'd you run in high school?
I haven't finished yet. But I was a courageous young man. Oh, he could run. And here's a wide open Terrace Ross. Touchdown, Florida. It is now 41-0. Ross has scored a touchdown pass against Tennessee, now with his 2nd of the season.
Well, Florida throws so infrequently to their tight end that it just appeared that Arkansas just let him go. I mean, that was one of those self-check. Yours, mine, no, wait. Wide open.
And here is Collins Cooper. And it is now 42-0. Terrace Ross, the senior from Dade City, Florida, with the touch. 42-0. And in this numbers game, they love to throw down here, don't they? 23 touchdown passes already this season. 22 of them from that man, Doug Johnson, who is finished for the night. He had 4. On carry him off. Doesn't even get to the 20. ESPN continues its college football coverage next Saturday at 12:30 Eastern Time when Northwestern visits the Big House to battle the number 6 Wolverines. And then at 7:30, you'll watch the Gators again. They go down to the Bayou to take on the 14th-ranked Tigers in an SEC shootout. All the action on ESPN, your home of college football.
Northwestern struggled a little bit here. 2-3, is that right?
And they've got a tough one tonight with Wisconsin and the Great Dane over on ESPN. From the 19, Sterner's pass is nearly intercepted by Tony George.
Well, I'm trying to look down, Charlie, at my list to see how many substitutes are in on defense, and it appears there aren't very many, if any. It appears that the starters are out there, and George had an opportunity. Would have been a nice catch, but couldn't come up with it.
Bob Stoops wasn't kidding when he told us that he wanted his defensive unit to play 4 quarters this week. Very upset that they had a 49-7 halftime lead last week over Kentucky, and then to win the game 55-28. Didn't like the 21 points that Kentucky came up with in the second half last week. And here's Sterner's pass, and it's complete out of the backfield to Mark Henderson. Henderson to the 24-yard line. A pickup of about 5 on the play.
Of course, I would think that Bob Stoops might be a little bit wary, Charlie, for that very reason.
Javon Curse, who has played a whale of a game tonight. Now he is down and injured. And, of course, you want your players to play all the time. But the downside is that you can get hurt, especially when you're up by 42 points. Last week, when Kentucky scored 21 points in the second half, it drove Bob Stoops and Steve Spurrier crazy, and they vowed that this would not happen again this week. And it has cost them this week. Doug Johnson is now on the sidelines with a what appears to be a bruised ankle.
All right.
Meanwhile, Javon Curse is being attended to at the 26-yard line.
Now, here's the question, Charlie. Say just for the sake of argument, let's say that they get the shutout. We win. We've shut them out. Isn't that great for 60 minutes? But if Curse can't play against an LSU or a George or a Tico Brown or anybody else, key player like the quarterback, is it worth it?
And that's precisely the point we were raising earlier when Doug Johnson went down to injury. Another flag on the play. Sterner is down, and it's Tony George with the sack. But again, with a 42-0 lead. Somehow, if Mills Lane was in the striped shirt tonight, they'd stop it.
Well, again, to Arkansas's credit, they're just outmanned. Florida has better team
Illegal
speed.
Participation. Offense played with 12 players. Penalties decline. 4th down.
And even with 12 on the field, they still get crushed.
Tried it both sides of the ball. It just didn't work. I'm really impressed with this Florida defense. I know that Bob Stoops has been getting an awful lot of credit, and deservedly so, but when people think of Florida, I still think they, you know, what comes to mind is that big offense. But I really think, Charlie, at this point of the season, you'd have to say the Florida defense has carried them.
And remember that their 2 interior tackles, Ed Chester and Reggie McGrew, are not playing tonight. They are expected back next week. Travis McGriff fumbles. And I think Arkansas has it, and they do.
It appears, Charlie, that David Barrett is the man that comes up with the ball. McGriff trying to do a little bit too much. You can see the ball just a little bit loose right there, and causing it is number 5, Corey Nichols, who's able to strip him of the ball, and Barrett comes up with it. I think that's the 3rd turnover for Florida tonight.
And all of them have been in their own territory. And the last 2, of course, with the 42-0 score. Arkansas was unable to capitalize. And so on 1st down and 10, Florida is going to call themselves a timeout. 42-0, heading for home. The BMW storyline tonight. The story belongs to Florida. And 3 turnovers by Arkansas have been turned into 14 Gator points. Clint Sterner has played valiantly, but has simply been overmatched. And Doug Johnson, 3 more touchdown passes.
How did 3 turnovers turn into 14 points?
Well,
all right then. Gotcha.
There were 3 turnovers. 2 of them turned into 14 points. Okay. And here's the pass that's incomplete. Well, perhaps the president is still watching at the White House tonight.
Fred Weary, good coverage on Eubanks. Eubanks has had 2 catches tonight, but he really has been a non-factor in this game. Goes with the outside move, but Weary knows that he can run with him. That's what he does. Puts the left hand up, bodies him out a little bit. Weary is right there. Well, that's good coverage.
Fred Weary has made Anthony Eubanks play like Bob Eubanks. 2nd down and 10. Mark Henderson and Nathan Norman are in the backfield with Sterner, and his pass is complete inside the 20-yard line to Shannon Sidney. Chris Marlowe downstairs. Chris.
Charlie, good news for Gator fans. Jovan Kurz has a minor cramp in his right calf. Right now they're treating it with massage and Gatorade. He'll be all right.
What else but Gatorade? This is where it all started.
You mean you massage the Gatorade in? That's different.
It's like Vicks.
Oh, okay. It's different. I hadn't thought of that.
This is the home of the Gators. A million of them, you know.
There you go.
On 1st and goal, or 1st and 10, here's the pass into the end zone.
Wow, what a catch.
Arkansas.
And that's
by
Loudermilk.
Hubert Loudermilk, who dropped a wide open pass earlier tonight. A terrific catch, 17 yards. And finally, the Hogs are on the board.
That was a big-time catch there.
The sophomore from Stuttgart, Arkansas.
Wait, really?
Yes, really.
Stuttgart.
Arkansas.
Oh.
Somebody zigged when they should have zagged.
Yeah.
I don't think we're in Stuttgart anymore, Toto. Here we go, 42-7. And Hubert Loudermilk with the touchdown reception.
Well, good for him, because as you pointed out, Charlie, he was the one that dropped that easy catch earlier. Kind of a short post pattern. Look at the extension here. Nice hands catch. He dropped himself, able to brace himself and collide with the ground, and the ball does not come up. So many times that's what you see, is that once the receiver hits the ground, the ball pops up. But Loudermilk able to brace himself. Nice catch. Switches over to the left hand.
And he beat Fred Weary, the SEC Defensive Player of the Week this week.
Well, Fred was tired on that play.
Well, you know, it's now 42-7, and my suspicion is that Bob Stoops and Steve Spurrier are beginning to get cranky down there. That's Fred Weary, and he is not real happy about it either. Now, most other teams would be thrilled to death with a 35-point lead. As you take a look at Clint Sterner.
You know what? John Madden once said something that I found interesting, and he said that you can't manufacture hunger. Okay, it's one thing when the score's 10-10 and you're intense and you're on edge. When it's 42-0, how do you maintain that level of intensity? I just don't see it. I think it's unrealistic.
Meanwhile, Steve Spurrier, he's leading by 35. And now here's Bo Carroll. And Carroll up the middle to the 22-yard line. Here's Bill Pito.
Charlie, Alabama and Kentucky. Kentucky going back on top as Tim Couch hits Anthony White. Touchdown. Kentucky up 3, 3rd quarter.
And Mike DeBoe's already feeling the heat down in Alabama.
Freshman quarterback is in, Charlie. Number 7, Jesse Palmer.
Jesse Palmer from Ontario, Canada. And he is wearing Danny Werfel's number, 7.
We have 12 men on the field.
This is Eugene McCaslin across the 25 to about the 28-yard line. And there is the ever-present Randy Garner in on the tackle.
Don't forget, McCaslin was a runner-up backup tailback. So he fits into the role of running with the football. As you had a chance to see Danny Werfel's number retired. Well, I guess it's not retired.
It's just posted.
Oh, okay. All right.
But his name is up there.
Well, now, is that a little bit of audacity of the youngster to say, I want number 7?
Here's Palmer in the handoff. There's a flag on the play. Eugene McCaslin was about to carry the ball till it was whistled dead. Jesse Palmer is a freshman.
Dead ball. False start offense. 5-yard penalty.
And the third-string quarterback getting some garbage time with 10 minutes and 12 seconds left in the game and a 35-point Florida lead. Florida 14 penalties tonight for 118 yards. And here is McCaslin looking to circle right end, and he can't. And his team leads by 35. 35!
You're ahead.
35! Wow. 42-7. Clock running. 9.5 left. On 3rd down and 7. And look at Rod Frazier. Down goes Frazier at the 35 and a first down. Sorry, Todd.
Well, McCaslin out at the wide receiver position's a little bit gimpy trying to throw a block. Doesn't give his buddy Frazier much help. But once again, because of the depth of Florida, I'm guessing that McCaslin's saying, no, don't take me out.
And he's looking at the inside of his left knee. We've got more college football. We head to the WAC as soon as we are done. SMU and New Mexico right after our game is over. Here is Palmer's throw, and it is complete to Darrell Jackson, number 9. He is a freshman, and he made the catch, picked up a 14. Here's Bill Pito.
Charlie, Wisconsin, Northwestern on ESPN. Wisconsin up 2, and on this punting situation, they botch it into the end zone. John Burton falls on it. Touchdown, Northwestern. Add the 2-point conversion. They're up 22-16.
Boy, that's just like how Wisconsin's season came undone last year.
Hunter needs to just kick the ball out of the end zone. You've got no chance. Give up the 2 points, because if you recover it and run, you're going to get tackled at the 3-yard line and set up a touchdown.
That's Bo Carroll into Arkansas territory. Jeremiah Harper made the tackle. Pickup of about 4 on the play.
Charlie, as impressive as you mentioned earlier, Fred Taylor's rushing average of nearly 8 yards. Bo Carroll from scrimmage was averaging nearly 12 coming into this game.
And all you do is think of Air Spurrier down here, but this is a terrific running game as well. 2nd down and 6. And this is Jesse Palmer, the 3rd-string quarterback, just unloading for dear life. The closest receiver was Jamie Richardson. Correction, that was Travis Taylor, a freshman from Jacksonville. Well, now they're beginning to empty the bench on us.
Well, this is, I was going to say, this is a situation now where Palmer realizes that this isn't the same as on Wednesday and Thursday. This is a different story, even if he is going against some 2nd and 3rd stringers.
3rd down and 6 with Bo Carroll, the single setback, and here is Palmer throwing, and Carroll with a catchable ball can hang on at the 40. Would have been a first down.
If you're Palmer, you're a little bit frustrated because you did exactly what you're supposed to do.
Well, can Florida do it again? Last year they did it with Danny Werfel. This year they're going to have to do it with Doug Johnson. Nebraska did it. Alabama the last to do it nearly 20 years ago. On 4th down, Fair catch at the 23-yard line by Jeremy Flowers. Oklahoma and Nebraska and Alabama have been the only repeaters. Can Florida do it? Well, the Gators next week are at LSU, and then they are at Auburn, and they have had a world of trouble with the Auburn Tigers in the Steve Spurrier years. Of course, the world of trouble is all relative considering what Florida's done in the Steve Spurrier years. Spurrier has a record of 77, 14, and 1 since he got here in 1990. And that is Mark Henderson across the 30 to the 31.
And after tonight, they're going to be 45-2 here at the Swamp.
And 54-0 against unranked teams.
And this will be how many straight SEC wins?
25. Wow. The record is held by Alabama. 27 from 1976 through 1980. Second down and 2. The pass is fumble, and Florida has it. Tyrone Baker to the 35-yard line, and the Gators get the ball back. The 4th Arkansas turnover of the night.
Gets in the open field, just coughs the ball up, gives Baker an opportunity to show his running ability. I think at this point he wanted to cut all the way across the field and see what he could do, but Sidney trips him up.
Tyrone Baker, like the man he replaced, Elijah Williams, is a former tailback. Tyrone Baker also happens to be the first cousin of Ricky Natile. Pretty fair wideout here at Florida, and on into the NFL.
It's one of the 3 amigos.
And Bo Carroll to the 32. Once again, Bill Pito. Bill?
Charlie, Kentucky hasn't beaten Alabama since 1922. Hold on here. Tim Couch, Kevin Coleman, touchdown from 14 yards out. Kentucky up 10 in the 3rd.
Think they're getting a little ornery down in Tuscaloosa?
And let me tell you something. I got to give the man credit. Kirk Herbstreit this morning called that. He said that Kentucky was going to upset Alabama. Bold prediction.
Rod Frazier and Bo Carroll in the I formation, and Palmer with the quick pass, and it's incomplete. Intended for Travis Taylor, the freshman.
Pretty decent throw. You know what? Regardless of the score, as a freshman, boy, this has got to be a thrill to be on this field.
Quarterbacking the #1 team in the country.
Right, right. Now, not quite 85,000 in the stands, obviously, but still, this has got to be a big deal for a youngster.
And Palmer's pass is incomplete. Intended for Alex Willis, number 80. Assuming the next 5 minutes and 50 seconds go according to plan, the Gators against Western Division teams in the SEC, 10 straight, 17-4 since 1992. And that will be 37 of their last 39 wins in SEC competition. Here's Palmer's pass. Oh, that's a pretty catch by Darrell Jackson to the 15-yard line. The freshman from Tampa.
The coverage on the part of Andre Amos was pretty good, but for some reason it appeared that he just gave up on it. Instead, the concentration of Darrell Jackson. Look at Moss right here. He thinks, is the ball thrown? Well, sure, it's thrown. And give Jackson credit for going after it.
Moss never knew the ball was in the air. 1st and 10 at the 15-yard line. Bo Carroll gets nowhere. Maybe loses a yard on the play. Now here's Bill Pito.
Charlie, coming up next on ESPN, ESPN2, our third game of the day, SMU and New Mexico. SMU has the game's first possession. New Mexico comes in at 4-0, unranked but undefeated.
And the Razorbacks are unbowed, somewhat bloodied, and trailing by 35. Second down and 11. And Florida is emptying the bench. Nick Chirilli, a wide receiver, is in the lineup. Here's a pass into the end zone, and Chirilli nearly caught it. But it was tipped away at the last minute by Zach Painter, number 37. Painter's actually a very interesting story. He had open heart surgery at the age of 5. And he, of course, is perfectly healthy now and makes a touchdown-saving play. Zach Painter, a junior from Jonesboro, Arkansas. 5'10", 205. 4 minutes and 40 seconds to go. Rod Frazier. Now here's the pass toward the end zone. Touchdown, Florida, to Darrell Jackson. They just keep coming with weapon after weapon after weapon. A 16-yard touchdown pass from Jesse Palmer, a freshman, to Darrell Jackson, a freshman. It is now 48-7.
Well, Palmer may have struggled on some of the other throws, but he certainly knows how to put that fade route up, and that was certainly a terrific drive for Jackson in terms of getting his hands on the ball, making some plays.
Darrell Jackson came into the game looking for his first reception of the season. He's got a couple tonight, and his first touchdown as a Gator. 49-7.
Well, Palmer, with a 3-step drop, throws it up for grabs, but really in that case you can see he fades it deep enough to where the defender has no chance. This is really a good throw. Little outside in move, and Chris Chalmers, the corner, looks up, but he really has no play, even if he has the hand up. And of course Palmer has to be very happy about that, his first career touchdown pass as a Gator.
So it's 49-7. And I can't help but wonder what Steve Spurrier and Bob Stoops are going to say after the game. Are they going to be upset that they gave up 7 in the second half?
Well, that aside, I think they have to like the play of some of the reserve people that have come in. Certainly Palmer has looked pretty good, and Jackson's made some catches. On the defensive side of the ball, cornerback Tyrone Baker with a fumble recovery and a couple of pretty decent coverages.
But one of the things, as we have now traveled a bit around the country this season, just the sheer number of athletes on this Gator football team. They just keep coming at you with speed and power on both sides of the football.
A lot of depth. A lot of depth. There's no doubt about it. And again, we've at the risk of redundance, or no, let's just say we're past the risk of redundance, the team speed factor.
Yeah.
Every time we've seen Florida, Charlie, they've just been faster than the other people. Getting to the ball, getting open, whatever it is.
And they hit harder. They are #1 and for a very good reason. That is Ontario Moss. And he barely gets to the 20-yard line. Now let's go downstairs to Chris Marlowe. Chris.
All right, Charlie, why do great players come to the University of Florida? Well, it's the chance to get free rings. Check them out right here. Last year, all players, the SEC championship ring on the right, the national championship ring on the left. According to the NCAA, you can only spend $300. That is the upper limit of a championship ring. The SEC ring costs $284. The national championship ring, a bargain at $255. Charlie?
Another reason they come here, how about the weather?
You know what, though, Charlie? Taking a look at those rings, the cost is irrelevant. That national championship ring, it's priceless forever. I mean, that's...
Mark Henderson got smeared by Darrell Owens. Now, Bill Pito. Bill?
All right, Charlie, Alabama and Kentucky. A little razzle-dazzle. Chad Koss, look at this. On the pass to Quincy Jackson, wide open for the TD. It's now a 3-point game. Kentucky by 3 in the third.
They call Alabama the Crimson Tide. They call me Deacon Blues. I'm sorry, it's getting late. It's a 42-point blowout, and it's 2nd and 13 with Chad Jones now the quarterback for Arkansas, and he's throwing on the run, and he throws it way out of bounds. 3:38 left in the game. It was a noble effort for Clint Sterner tonight. He was just overmatched. He just had nowhere near the weapons that the #1 Florida Gators had. As you look at the press box, we're up there somewhere. Third down and 13 yards to go. Arkansas gets the week off next week, and then they play South Carolina. Here's Chad Jones' pass, picked off. Tico Brown, and Brown to the 24-yard line with the 5th turnover of the night.
Tico Brown, the lone remaining starter in the secondary, takes advantage of the overthrow by Jones.
Oh, the humanity.
There it is, right down the middle. Tico Brown making the catch. That's his 2nd pick of the night.
And his 3rd of the season.
And we've seen all 3, because I think the other one's against Southern Miss.
That's exactly right. And now we have a penalty. Number 91, Gino Bell. The officials won't announce his number, but we will.
Dead ball foul. Defense was offsides. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Gino Bell, who missed all of last year with a back injury, is back for his senior season with that Darth Vader look. 3:22 left in the game. Bo Carroll at the 19-yard line. Now let's go to Bill Pito. Bill.
Charlie, great ball game on ESPN. Wisconsin trailing, but they got Big Ron Dane, and Big Ron Dane is going to go in for the touchdown. Add the point after. Wisconsin back up by 1 in the third.
Oh, man.
You know, we did a game last year. I think it may have been the first game of the year for Wisconsin against Central Michigan. And he was the 3rd string running back at that point. And it was 3rd quarter, and the game was comfortably in hand, and they'd given the ball to Dane, and here is Bo Carroll brought down behind the line of scrimmage. So they give the ball to Dane, and here's Central Michigan. Their offensive line, or defensive line against Wisconsin's offensive line, outweighed by about 50, 60 pounds. Dane is now burst through this hole, and there was this poor little cornerback who was left in his way between the ends.
Oh, no.
And this, I'm not sure that they have peeled this cornerback off the field yet.
Oh, boy.
And that's when you knew that this guy was something special, because not only could he outrun the little guys, he could bowl over the big guy, Ron Dane. And look at Bo Carroll inside the 15 to about the 14-yard line. And now, how about our players of the game, brought to you by the National Car Rental folks. Doug Johnson for the Gators, 18 of 30, 238 yards, and 3 more touchdown passes. That gives him 20 on the season. And C.J. McClain playing valiantly from the outside linebacker spot as the Arkansas player of the game, brought to you by national car record. 1st and 10 at the 14-yard line. Andra Davis getting some television time now. Let's go downstairs to Chris Marlowe. Chris?
Charlie, earlier you mentioned that there were 1 million alligators in the state of Florida. Well, 2 days ago, they caught the all-time record monster. Check out the stats on this guy. 14 feet long, 800 pounds heavy, and I'm told he ran a 4.65 40 in bare feet. Charlie?
Who's going to argue? Flag on the play. Man, that's horror movie stuff.
Wow, that was a bruiser.
I wonder if they'll get him for the Budweiser commercial.
You know, we did one of our Sports Center commercials with this clown. Or, I'm sorry, this mascot. We sang lead on that music video.
10 yards.
He and I.
Spot of the foul.
Yeah, this clown right here, pal. That's right. You know, last night at our group dinner, as we have wherever we are on Friday night, we had gator tail as gator tail as yeah, for all you do, as an appetizer. And yes, it tastes like chicken. Here's Bo Carroll, and he is going to score. Bo Carroll's second touchdown of the night. This one merely 32 yards. His first one was 94. He runs at 10-5 100-yard meters, and once he got into the open field, it was no mas.
Middle screen to Bo Carroll. Spread the wide receivers out, give him the ball in the middle of the field, and let him go.
Well, let's make it 56, shall we? It wasn't pretty, but at this point, it really doesn't matter, does it?
Take a look at the middle screen. The offensive linemen are going to bump and let their people go. Carroll's going to get right in the middle behind the phalanx of blockers, and right here, he shows that great 10-5 100-meter speed that Charlie made reference to as he cuts to the outside. Long gone. Oh, gets a hug from Charlie's buddy.
That's right. Well, 56-7 with 1 minute and 7 seconds left in the ball game.
A game like this, Charlie, the question would be asked, you look at the numbers, you say, boy, this is a team ready for the national championship. Again, the tale will be told, however, as you pointed out, in the next 3 weeks.
Yeah.
If they get through those 3, then I like their chances. At Auburn, at LSU, and an undefeated, or at least currently an undefeated Georgia team at Jacksonville.
And what was interesting when we talked to Steve Spurrier on Thursday, and I asked him, well, give us a sense of where your team is now. He says, we're progressing. We're pretty much on schedule, which is bad news for the rest of the SEC. And anybody else that seems to be getting in their way. Well, they lead by 49. Now the wind is beginning to whip up here. Hubert Loudermilk across the 25 to the, actually across the 20 to about the 24-yard line. Hubert Loudermilk, who scored the only touchdown of the night for the Razorbacks. We've got SMU and New Mexico coming up in about 59 seconds. Oh, fumbled. And Chad Jones sits on it. Well, the good news is that the clock continues to run on all of that, instead of what was likely to have been a pass play.
But for Chad Jones, this is a pretty big deal. We talked about Palmer on the other side of the ball, but a young redshirt freshman quarterback getting his opportunity.
And the clock continues to run. 20 seconds. Well, they're going to run it. And as a public service to football fans across America, we thank them. So it is 56-7. The Florida Gators win it easily. SMU and New Mexico are next. For Todd Christensen and Chris Marlowe, Charlie Steiner saying goodbye. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Now, Craig Bolerjack. Craig?
All right.